Chapter 13-19. Yi, who was at the side, seemed to be able to sense his mother's depression and said softly, "Father, mother also wants to." Gong Yu went into a daze and immediately her face and ears turned red. How could you say it out loud? Yi Juetian went into a daze. My son actually called me just now. Oh my god. Father knows. Yi Juetian smiled. After that he glanced at Gong Yu. Gong Yu immediately lowered her head shyly, not daring to look straight at him. However, Yi Juetian gently lifted Gong Yu's chin. Gong Yu closed her eyes tightly, the nervousness in her heart as if this was the first time she had kissed him. Yi looked at his parents and finally a smile appeared on his face. God, Yi finally could not take it anymore. He turned his head and kissed her, causing Zhou Xian's eyes to almost pop out. This guy really kissed her. She pushed him away, it would definitely not work. Bastard. To actually choose this time, how shameless. Couples seemed to be infected at this moment. They all hugged and kissed each other to express their love for each other. However, Yihua didn't do that. He was silently looking at his subordinates. If a subordinate's emotions were stable, that would mean the stability of the team. In the past, these fellows didn't have any emotions at all, and right now for them to be able to bring out their emotions to such an extent, it is truly not easy. Dong Huangli and Yi Yan looked at their father and mother. At a time like this, shouldn't the two of you do something? Dad, you are the eldest. You have to take the lead. Dong Huangli thought to herself, father and mother couldn't have gotten into a conflict, right? At this moment, Xianxia and the others also looked at Yihua, and when they discovered that Yihua actually didn't move at all, Xianxia and the others became angry in their hearts. Could it be that you want us to take the initiative to send ourselves to him? Using Yihua's words, this is your honor. Lu Jing looked at her eldest son and daughter-in-law and sighed in her heart. Although they seemed to be together all these years, she felt that there was a gap between them. This wasn't a good situation. A happy marriage required two people to manage and maintain it. Looking at Yihua and the others, their feelings for each other were getting weaker and weaker. Just looking at them makes me feel vexed. Lu Jing was not the only one who was worried. Even the children were a little worried. Their parents were really abnormal. As a daughter and son, they had to help their parents. Once again, a beautiful figure walked out of the black hole, causing absolute heaven to be overjoyed. Of course, there was also the pig liver prawn. The two of them actually rushed forward at the same time. This made everyone feel that there would be a good show to watch. These two fellows were going to fight today. Dongfang Yuaner stepped out of the black hole, and the first thing that entered her eyes was Zhu Tian, and it was even pig liver Ting. In terms of appearance, absolute heaven was much better than pig liver mantis. If it were not for the fact that he had arms and legs, he would really look like a pig. You're back, Zhu Tian and pig liver centipede said at the same time. After that, the two men glared at each other. Dongfang Yuaner looked at Zhu Tian and said gently, Zhu Tian, I'm back. Alright then, it would seem that absolute heaven was still the victor of the first round. After all, the emotions were right there. How could pig liver Denglong interfere? Absolute heaven coldly snorted as he looked at the pig liver hyena. You're even thinking about my woman? Are you courting death? Hence, absolute heaven immediately embraced Dongfang Yu'er and declared his sovereignty without saying anything further. This is my absolute heaven's woman. Whoever dares to touch her, I won't even give face to the heavenly emperor. Pig liver macaque was so angry. He originally thought that Dongfang Yuaner had gone to train, but that was because he was angry. Perhaps after 12 years his feelings for her had faded. In the end, I didn't expect that not only did this feeling not fade, it even solidified a little. If that's the case, wouldn't I have no chance at all? What is so good about this absolute heaven? Isn't he just a little handsome? Can being handsome be used to make a living these days? I pig liver macaque, this is the beauty of the soul. What do you know about the beauty of the soul? This is such a sublime kind of beauty that you actually don't know how to appreciate it. Just look at that blue sky red. There are women who can understand his beauty of the soul. Why is there no one who can understand my pig liver macaque's beauty of the soul? I pig liver macaque don't believe it. How about listening to me say a few words? Ignored. The two of you are more or less done. Kissing each other like this in front of an outsider. Let me finish my words. Pig liver macaque said gravely. He really doesn't give me any face at all. Dongfang Yuan finally let go of Zhu Tian, then looked at pig liver macaque and said, I'm sorry, you are a good person. Pig liver macaque. What is a true team? That is bad friends. Following Dongfang Yuan'er's words, everyone stopped kissing and actually burst into laughter. A trace of a smile appeared on Yi Hua's face. This is the relationship between Zhu Tian and Dongfang Yuan. How can you possibly step in? Don't even think about it. The pig liver macaque stared blankly at Dongfang Yuan. This was simply too frivolous. Women are all big pig trotters, they all like handsome men. They are all superficial. I won't give up. Pig liver mantis said solemnly. He even looked at Zhu Tian and said in a deep voice, I, pig liver mantis, am not going to beat around the bush. I just like your wife. Everyone, at this moment Yi Hua said gravely, pig liver roast, it's almost done. Since his honor has already spoken, pig liver macaque looked at Zhu Tian and snorted coldly. You clearly already have Brett, and there's still another one called what's his name, and yet you are still forcibly occupying Dongfang Yu. You are such a greedy man, and yet Dongfang Yu actually likes you. Why does no one like my pig liver in this age where people look at their faces? After the pig liver macaque left, Zhu Tian lightly held onto Dongfang Yu's delicate hand, walked to his seat and wait for the guardian. Furthermore, it was the finale. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then looked at the black hole silently. Right now Rin Yao still didn't know what was going on, but a familiar aura entered into her brain, causing her eyes to reveal a look of surprise. This aura, could it be? A man who was wearing a black gown slowly walked out of the black hole, and a powerful pressure was emitted from his body, seemingly as if he was trying to show off his power. There was no fear in his eyes and he seemed very ordinary. Even when facing Yi Hua and the others who were using cheats, there wasn't a single bit of apprehension in the slightest. Towards the guardian that suddenly appeared, the entire team was very surprised. This guardian is different from Ren Yao. Yi Hua even felt that this guardian is a bit more different from that Su Diao in that execution ground. Furthermore, it isn't just a bit more different. Big brother, this is that guardian. Yi Juetian said in a low voice. This guardian, do you think that he is kind or malicious? Yi Hua asked faintly. Yi Juetian wrinkled his brows. Thinking about how he and the others had been saved by the guardian before, he said, I think that he should be kind. Little Tian, you can't judge a person by their appearance. Perhaps he was trapped in that place and he used the same method that he used to save you all to come out from that place. Yi Hua said boldly. Yi Juetian's expression sunk. That shouldn't be the case, right? In this world there is nothing that is absolute and all kinds of accidents exist. Chapter 13:20. Just as the two brothers were chatting, the guardian looked towards Rin Yao, and Rin Yao also looked towards the guardian. The two of them seemed to have some sort of connection. Rin Yao looked as if he had lost his soul as he slowly walked towards the guardian. This scene caused everyone to go into a daze. Soon after, they adjusted their state of mind and prepared to face the unexpected situation. Rin Yao, what are you doing? Yizizi suddenly shouted out. However, Rin Yao still walked towards the guardian woodenly. Yizizi felt that Rin Yao was her little brother, so how could she allow anything to happen to Rin Yao? Her petite body immediately rushed over, seemingly wanting to stop Rin Yao's strange actions. However, a black figure suddenly appeared behind Rin Yao, blocking in front of Yizizi. Yizizi was not a kind person, and she immediately swung her fist towards the guardian. I'm not bragging, but if this fist were to hit the guardian would definitely lose his life. After all, everyone present at the scene had to admit that Yizizi's fist was rather hard. Even the guardian wouldn't be able to withstand it. But, bang! A muffled sound suddenly rang out, and a berserk gale spread out with the two of them as the center. Looking at this situation, everyone was astonished. Even Yizizi revealed an expression of disbelief. Because the guardian in front of her actually used his palm to receive the fist. Just like rock paper scissors, the paper won. Your strength is not small. The guardian looked at Yizizi and said faintly. Although Yizizi was very shocked, that fist just now was just a normal attack. If you have the ability, receive my second fist, the second fist that will take your life. Zizi, come back. Yi Hua said faintly. Looking at the current situation, it seems like I can stop some bad things. But so what? Some things need to be settled and not stopped. Only by settling things can I feel at ease. Yizizi turned her head around and looked at Yi Hua with a puzzled look in her eyes. Why, come back. Yi Hua shouted out again. This is clearly an order and I'm not joking around with you, Yizizi. Yizizi looked at the guardian in front of her, and with a heavy breath, she snorted coldly and returned to the group. The guardian silently took a look at Yihua, then placed his hand on Rin Yao's shoulder. A beautiful radiance suddenly spread out, and Yihua could feel that this was a very strong power. What was this guardian doing? What he wanted to do was to make Rin Yao perfect. After all, Rin Yao was an imperfect guardian. If her strength was halved, nothing would taste good. But now, to Rin Yao, the half of the power that had disappeared was continuously flowing into her body. It felt like she had become a human, not a half-human half-ghost. Everyone was also very surprised. Was imparting power like this? This guardian was a little too amazing. Just how strong must it be to be able to transmit so much energy in one go? Yihua waited silently and did not say anything. As for Yihua's subordinates, as long as Yihua gave the order, they would be able to press these two guardians onto the ground and rub them against each other. However, Yihua didn't say anything all this while, and this caused the subordinates to not dare to act rashly. Could it be that he was just going to watch? That was obviously the case. After about 10 minutes, the brilliance gradually dimmed. Yihua slightly narrowed his eyes. I want to see what exactly this person is trying to do. If he could do it now, that would be for the best. He would be able to settle it immediately and prevent any future troubles. Right now, Rin Yao seemed to have become much more clear-headed. Looking at her hands, countless power seemed to be surging out from her body. This feeling, seems to be able to be lawless. If Yizizi were to throw another punch at me, I definitely have the confidence to receive it. As a guardian, to actually lose half of your strength, this is truly a shame. The guardian said faintly. This sentence was clearly meant to lecture Rin Yao. What are you doing? Rin Yao didn't seem to dare to refute, not knowing why she didn't dare to refute, as if the man in front of her was her boss, and she had to listen to him, if not, the consequences would be very serious. At this moment, Yihua asked faintly, Guardian, what are you trying to do? The guardian's gaze shifted towards Yihua, and without a trace of fear he said faintly, I am merely looking for my companions. And then? What and then? The guardian asked. And then what do you plan to do? And then? I haven't thought about it clearly yet, but perhaps I will think of it after I have found all of my companions. The guardian raised his head and looked at the sky, appearing to be at a loss. Hearing that, Yihua remained silent for a while, then said faintly, Go and look for them then. Naturally. The guardian said lightly. Could it be that I still have to stay and eat with them? Towards this guardian, Yi Juetian and the others had lived together for 12 years. If one were to say that they didn't have any feelings for the guardian, that would be impossible. However, the guardian seemed to know what those people wanted to say, and he said, I only saved you all for the sake of coming out. There are only benefits between us. There are no other factors. Therefore, there is no need to say anything. Following the guardian's words, everyone who had just returned became speechless. Is it really only because of benefits? Back then, when you saved us, you didn't know that there was a guardian here, so at that time, what was the reason for you to save us? Could it be that you didn't do it out of kindness? However, facing the cold-hearted guardian, everyone didn't seem to have any plans to say anything. I feel a bit disappointed in my heart, and also a bit stifled. Wasn't Rin Yao the same as well? I have lived here with everyone for 12 years, and right now I am going to leave just like that. I am truly a bit reluctant to part with this place. However, there are some things that I really have no choice about. If I am allowed to choose, perhaps living here forever is also a pretty good choice. However, Rin Yao knew that perhaps in my next life I might be able to fulfill my wish, but in this life I might not be able to. Goodbye, this adorable imperial palace. Farewell forever, my friends. The guardian and Rin Yao disappeared from where they were just like that, and no one knew where they went. However, Yihua knew that the next time they meet, it would be a situation where they would have to fight to the death. Today there would be a reunion and there would also be a separation. However, the joy of the former was more than the sorrow of the latter. I will think about the future matters in the future. Right now I have to properly celebrate the children's return, celebrate the return of all of my subordinates. Alright, let's go and eat. We will settle this matter after we eat. Yihua said faintly, then turned around and left by himself. The children discovered that the current father, when did he become a loner? He seems to be a bit unsociable. Why didn't mother say anything at all? Look at how much pressure father is under right now. Mother shouldn't be acting like this, she should be empathizing with father. Chapter 13:21. Sigh. The children hurriedly caught up to Yihua and used their own methods to communicate with their father. Daddy, how about we let Yener handle this matter? Daddy, I can help you as well. Dong Huangli said seriously at the side. I am no longer a child now and I can take charge of things by myself. God Yi and Yi Lu also expressed that they can help their father as well. This way their father won't have to work so hard. Yi Hua could feel the children's concern and his heart felt warm. This is much better than your mother. Children, Daddy naturally knows what you all are thinking in your hearts. However, the opponent this time is not someone that you all can handle. Therefore let Daddy do it. However, this will be the last time Daddy will help you all. In the future you all will have to settle things by yourselves, understand? Hearing what their father said, why do the children feel that their father is planning to retire? Indeed, Yi Hua indeed wants to retire. Sometimes when I feel tired I really want to have a good rest. I don't have to think about those troublesome matters, and I don't have to think about what will happen in the future. Right now the children already have the ability to take responsibility. I can be more at ease. Because the children and subordinates are returning, Yi Hua planned to hold a big celebration, and the scale was just like having a reunion dinner. Blood Demon was also happy to do so. After all, little sovereign has returned, it should be. Right now there was even a specialized banquet hall in the palace for groups to celebrate during festivals. There was a KTV and the gorgeous disco lighting made the place look extremely retro. Right now a unique rhythm sounded out from the speakers and it seemed very cheerful. The subordinates were dancing on the dance floor and everyone's face was filled with joy. Suddenly the music changed and it became a bit romantic. Needless to say, pairs of couples were hugging each other and lightly swaying, expressing their love for each other. Even God Yi was among them, hugging the shy Zhou Xian. If they put in more effort 10 months later, they might really be able to give birth to a grandson for Donghuang Baiji. Yi Hua would also have a third generation. What an exciting thing. Using Yi Hua's words, the flame of the Supreme Overlord will never extinguish. Right now Yi Juetian was hugging Gong Yu and lightly swaying. Although he didn't know how to dance, he was still able to sway along with the music. Right now the most important thing was to experience that romantic atmosphere. There were also cameras recording the good times. However, Yi Hua didn't go over to make love with his wife. Instead he sat by himself at the side, drank a little wine, smoked a little cigarette and seemed to be very happy. Xianxia and the others were sitting not far away from Yi Hua, and they were currently chatting with each other in low voices. However, none of them went to coax Yi Hua. This wasn't the first time such a situation had happened. It had been like this for the past few years. The subordinates were all worried that his honor and his honor's wife would break up with each other. Dong Huangli couldn't stand watching anymore. Daddy looks so pitiful. Why is mommy like this? Wasn't your relationship very good in the past? Even if you quarreled, you would make up in a very short period of time. But now this is simply the prelude to a divorce. Dong Huangli didn't want to see her father and mother getting divorced. Therefore she hurriedly arrived in front of Donghuang Baiji and said solemnly, "Mom, I have something to tell you." Seeing that her daughter had come over, Donghuang Baiji immediately revealed out a happy smile. "Ali, what's the matter? Is it because there's a boy you like but you're too shy to say it?" "Mom, please be a bit serious. I'm very serious," Donghuangli said solemnly. This matter was related to the harmony of the family. Donghuang Baiji went into a daze, then nodded her head. "All right, Mom will be serious. Ali, you go ahead and tell me." "Mom, are you planning to leave Dad?" Dong Huangli asked straightforwardly. This caused Xianxia and the others who were beside her to go into a daze. Donghuang Baiji slowly returned back to normal, then rubbed onto her daughter's forehead. "Silly child, what are you talking about? How can Mom possibly leave Dad?" "Then, aren't you paving the way for Dad to leave you right now?" Dong Huangli said gravely. Dong Huangli felt that every couple would ignore each other because they were in a cold war. After a long time their feelings would fade and by then they would have nothing left. No matter how strong their love was, it wouldn't be able to withstand this kind of consumption. Just like right now, Mom feels that it's fine but Dad feels tired. If Dad gets tired that day and doesn't want you anymore, you will know that you were wrong. "Mom, I don't," Donghuang Baiji said subconsciously. Dong Huangli pointed at the dance floor, then pointed at Dad. "Mom, look, you don't." The more Dong Huangli spoke, the angrier Dong Huangli became. "As the boss, there are a lot of things that I have to deal with tomorrow and I have to make plans for the future. Mom, it's fine if you don't want to help Dad, but you even chose to watch Dad when he was lonely. Ali is truly disappointed in me." Looking at Ali, who left in a fit of pique, Donghuang Baiji didn't expect that right after her daughter came back, she would immediately start lecturing me. And furthermore, it was all for her father Yi Hua. Back then, it was your heartless father who abandoned you all in the distant south, and even told us not to go and visit you all. Not only did you not blame Dad, you even blamed Mom for neglecting Dad. As expected, Mom is always here to deliver express delivery. Dong Huang Baiji took a look at Yi Hua. Perhaps it was because Dong Huang Baiji was enlightened by her daughter's words. She felt that the current Yi Hua was a bit pitiful. Look at how happy the subordinates are, and yet this boss is actually sitting at the side and drinking wine to drown his sorrows. Meanwhile, the four madams were just watching from the side. Dong Huang Baiji didn't know when this kind of situation started, but it gradually became a kind of habit. Once this kind of habit was formed, it seemed that it would be impossible to change it. In actuality, what Ali said is very correct. Qin Yutong agreed with what Dong Huang Li said. If this continues on, it will indeed not be good for the relationship between husband and wife. Qian Yuqing nodded her head. In the past, I had always been thinking about Yi Hua, but ever since I wasn't able to conceive a child, there had been a grudge in my heart. Perhaps it was because of this that I got angry, and coupled with Yi Hua not coaxing me, it resulted in the current situation. So what do you plan to do? Shall we go over and coax him? Qingya looked at Yi Hua's side view, and in actuality she was feeling a bit of pain in her heart as well. Dong Huang Li's words really woke the four women up. Don't be too arrogant. When the time comes, Daddy doesn't want you all anymore. You all will know that you were wrong, and you all will also know how lucky you all were in the past. However, just when the four women were preparing to move, Lai Gu rushed in front of Yi Hua, directly pulled onto Yi Hua's hand, and just like that he dragged Yi Hua onto the dance floor. The children were all stupefied by what they saw. Uncle Lai Gu still has such a trick up his sleeve? However, it was only at this moment that Yi Hua wouldn't get angry, and he would even tease him a bit. Your Honor, how about we dance awkwardly? Lai Gu grinned and said. Chapter 1322. His Honor knows how to awkwardly dance. That doesn't exist. Therefore, I want to see His Honor's embarrassing state. After all, it isn't that easy to see His Honor's embarrassing state, and the opportunity to see His Honor's embarrassing state was hard to come by. Upon hearing Lai Gu's suggestion, everyone immediately became alert. Your Honor, awkward dance. Your Honor, awkward dance. Yi Hua laughed lightly. Since the two of you have chosen to dance awkwardly, come on then. I, the Supreme Overlord, will naturally not spoil the fun. Of course, Yi Hua wouldn't reject his subordinates. In any case, they were all family, there was nothing to be shy about. However, awkward dance, this is still something new. I don't think I have ever done it before, Sai. These are all tricks that youngsters play. I, the Supreme Overlord, am already old and I can't really play around with them anymore. Daddy, you can do it. Yan shouted, cheering for me. As expected of Yi Hua's good son. Yi Hua laughed helplessly. Come on, don't be embarrassed. They were going to die of embarrassment anyway. All of Yi Hua's subordinates moved away from the dance floor, and only Yi Hua and Lai Gu remained on the dance floor. There was no way that Yi Hua would go easy on His Honor. This kind of opportunity was very hard to come by. After this period of time, I won't be able to tease His Honor anymore. Pig's liver, let's see if you can explode. Everyone, needless to say, the pig liver centipede really knew how to speak. It immediately started to show its tone, but the people around it immediately dispersed. This idiot didn't even cover his mouth. The saliva in his mouth was flying everywhere. Eat, eat. Yi Hua and Lai Gu looked towards the pig liver macaque. Do you only know how to eat, eat, eat? The pig liver that already had, no longer has anything left to live for, was only thinking about having a body that was similar to Ching Su's. This way he would be able to fill up the pain in his heart. Who would be able to understand this kind of pain, Sai? Forget it, you guys are embarrassed. Yi Hua took the opportunity to find an excuse and hurriedly slipped away. Just now I had agreed to it on a whim. Now that I think about it, it really is a bit embarrassing. Lai Gu suddenly suggested, Your Honor, why don't you dance with your wife and let subordinates broaden their horizons? This Lai Gu is really touching my sore spot. Doesn't he know that His Honor and your wife are having a conflict right now? However, Lai Gu also wanted to use this kind of method to make His Honor and His Honor's wife reconcile with each other. Boss's family is blissful and his mood would naturally be good. As expected, when Lai Gu's words came out, everyone looked towards your wife. Because His Honor is definitely willing to do it, but the problem is, Madam is definitely not willing to do it. It has already been a few years since I have seen his honor and Madam interact with each other. Now that the children have returned, Madam will definitely give his honor face, right? Dance. 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 All of Xianxia's subordinates immediately lit up the scene. Even if Xianxia and the others didn't want to, they had no choice but to go up. After all, they still had to give Xianxia face. In addition to what Dong Huangli had just said, the situation was even more so. Xianxia took a look at Dong Huang Baiji. With the current situation, it's time for me to go, right? However, just who is going to go? The four women looked at each other. It seems that after being ordinary for so many years, suddenly becoming like this, seems like I'm a bit not used to it. Yihua looked at his woman and sighed in his heart. The shouts that were transmitted to Yihua's ears made Yihua a bit irritated. Forget it. Yihua said faintly, then walked out of the dance floor. All of Yihua's subordinates immediately quietened down. I feel that the relationship between his honor and Madam seems to have cooled down again. Listening to his honor's tone, all of them went into a daze. The children sighed in their hearts. The relationship between father and mother seems to be even worse than what we imagined. If this continues, something bad will definitely happen. Lu Xianer pulled on to God Yi, who was beside her, and asked concernedly, "Have your father and mother always been like this?" "No, when I left home when I was young, their relationship was still very good." God Yi said lightly. He completely didn't know why things were like this. Seems like I have to ask Big Sister to hold a pep rally and make the relationship between my parents better. Big Sister, what should we do? Why do I feel that something is amiss? Yi Yan, who was standing beside Dong Huangli, said softly. What else can we do? Mother is not giving father any face at all. Dong Huangli was a bit angry. Look at how pitiful father is. Mother is doing this, and sooner or later she will regret it. Yi Yan sighed lightly. That's right, we are already an old married couple, yet mother is still making it hard for father to get out of this embarrassing situation. Mother is even more immature than us. That's right, we still have to think of a way. Big Sister, I heard that father, aunt and Aunt Yuqing are unable to get pregnant. Not only father, everyone else is the same. How about you make a pregnancy medicine? Perhaps the situation might change. Yan suggested. Dong Huangli wrinkled her brows. That's not right, I seem to remember that I gave a packet of medicine to aunt last time. Hurry up and go and ask her then. Dong Huangli hurriedly went to look for Qin Yutong, then pulled Qin Yutong to the side. Ali, what's wrong? Qin Yutong's expression was also gloomy, but when she saw Ali, she revealed out a smile and asked. Aunt, do you still remember the medicine that I gave you back then? The medicine that can make you get pregnant? Qin Yutong nodded her head. I remember, it's just that I lost the medicine that you gave me. Dong Huangli's head started aching. However, Qin Yutong didn't have much hope in Qin Yutong. After all, during these few years, Qing Su had tried to make a lot of medicines, but none of them were effective. Suddenly, Qin Yutong felt that Ali was different. Perhaps Ali is able to make it. After all, Qing Su still wants to look for Ali to become his disciple. Ali, can you make it again? I can only do this. Sai, just what is going on with you, mother and the others? Is there a need for you to make things like this with father? Dong Huangli said angrily, then left. Qin Yutong's head was also aching. What Ali said is indeed correct, I shouldn't have made things like this with brother-in-law, but this matter is hard to say. Big Sister and Baiji. Just now, Xianxia and Dong Huang Baiji were preparing to go and dance, but Yihua's words caused them to become angry once again. If you don't want to dance, then don't dance. I really suspect that these women's menopause has long arrived. Following the situation of his honor and his wife, the atmosphere of the dance became a bit cold. This year the commotion was especially fierce. Furthermore, after his honor returned, his honor and his wife were able to bury the hatchet. But who would have thought that this would be adding oil to the fire? Yi Juetian looked at his big brother and sister-in-law, and he had a stupefied look on his face. How did the situation become like this? Just what happened when I wasn't around? Gong Yu, just what is going on? Why did the situation become so fierce? Yi Juetian asked in a low voice. Gong Yu said in a light voice with a bit of worry. Big brother and sister-in-law were still fine a few years ago, but after Yutong and Yuqing were unable to get pregnant, the situation erupted. It has been like this for the past few years, and we didn't dare to go and talk to them. Mother also went and talked to them before, but it was completely useless. Now that the child has returned, It seems like the situation has not improved at all. Chapter 1323. What should we do? Yi Juetian rubbed his forehead. In the past it was his feelings that had a problem, but now it was actually his big brother that had a problem. It seemed that no matter who it was, they would be stumped when it came to love. Gong Yu raised her head slightly and looked at her husband. She was pondering whether she should tell her husband about Yi. She wanted to tell her husband because, after all, her husband had the right to know. However, her rationality told her that she couldn't tell her husband because the current situation was very good. If she told him, the current feeling would disappear again. Dou Fusher, go and sing a song to liven things up, Absolute Heaven said softly. At this moment they needed to liven things up. They could not continue being so dull. Floating World Dou was naturally amusing. Otherwise, why would he be the one to look for trouble? Go and sing. Li Hun, who was at the side, poked her husband. Hurry up and display your comical side, make his honor and his honor's wife laugh. Dou Fusher hurriedly walked out. He knew that it was time for him to display his strength. Everyone singing can wait. Dou Fusher would like to answer a riddle. Riddles. They had never played this before and it immediately attracted everyone's attention. Hurry up and say it. Don't waste my time. Dou Fusher nodded with a smile and asked, what is it that grows fur and peels off a layer of skin as it grows? Everyone was stunned. As males, they seemed to have thought of something. As a female, she glared fiercely at Dou Fusher. This was simply driving at the slightest disagreement. Li Hun was having a headache. I told you to tease his honor and his honor's wife to be happy, and yet you actually said something like this. Do you want to die? Dou Fusher hurriedly said, look at your expressions, all of you are thinking in a crooked way. Scorn, your brains are filled with unhealthy things. Everyone was speechless. Thinking about the growth of corn, it seemed to be true. Laughter suddenly rang out in the audience. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice, and to their surprise, they discovered that the one who laughed out loud was actually Little Sovereign's girlfriend, Zhou Xian. When Zhou Xian saw that everyone was staring at her, her pretty face immediately felt as if it was on fire. I am no longer pure. What am I thinking about? God Yi asked calmly. Xian, what are you thinking about? I didn't think of anything. Then why were you laughing just now? Please don't say anything. Zhou Xian hid behind God Yi. Just what kind of place is this? This is a grown-up place. A trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. This Dou Fusher is not bad as expected of me, the supreme overlord, to take him in back then. When Dou Fusher saw that his honor actually smiled, he decided that he had to put in more effort. At this moment, Lai Gu was unconvinced. Dou Fusher, if you have the ability, come up with another question. I will definitely be able to answer you. As Lai Gu said that, he secretly opened Baidu. However, Yu Hua directly took over Lai Gu's phone. All right, answer a question for me to see. Yu Hua, just whose side are you on? Lai Gu said helplessly. Are we still husband and wife? Is there anyone who plays like this? Dou Fusher said in a serious tone. The next one is scary. You'll get sick if something gets in, so you have to clean it. Everyone, needless to say, his subordinates were actually discussing it. This was definitely a serious riddle, but they didn't know what it was. Big brother, do you know what it is? Dou Fusher was very arrogant now. He actually shouted towards Lai Gu. Lai Gu pursed his lips. If you have the ability, then tell me the answer, don't talk nonsense. At this moment, God Yi hugged onto Zhou Xian and asked curiously, Xian, do you know what it is? I don't know. Zhou Xian hurriedly said. You really don't know? Do you already have the answer in your head? God Yi, if you continue to be so bad, I won't like you anymore. God Yi suddenly realized that teasing girls is actually very interesting. Dou Fusher said helplessly, you don't even know about this? His honor said to use our brains. It's contact lenses. Hearing such an answer, the corner of everyone's mouth twitched slightly. That's enough, this is even possible. However, just as Dou Fusher was preparing to continue, Blood Demon, who was wearing a white gown, walked out and said respectfully, Your Honor, the food is ready. Yi Hua nodded his head. All right, let's go and eat first, we won't go back until we are drunk. Everyone, obediently drink your wine. Yes, Your Honor. Everyone shouted out in unison. This was also the rule of the gathering. When drinking, one must not use one's strength. Because only when one was drunk would the atmosphere be perfect. If one didn't get drunk, then what was the point of drinking? Xian was a bit confused. Why must one get drunk? God Yi felt that this was an opportunity that his father created for him. If a girl doesn't get drunk, how can a boy have a chance? Furthermore, in order to achieve the goal of getting drunk, Yi Hua specially instructed them to make a special type of wine. After all, the bodies of his subordinates were all very strong, and ordinary wine wasn't a problem for them. Seeing that all of his subordinates were present, Yi Hua felt a bit more comfortable in his heart. Although his wives were sitting beside him, the feeling was still the same, cold and indifferent. I might as well look at my subordinates and be happy. Yi Hua's table consisted of his wives and children, and they belonged to his family. 7 Deadly Sins table naturally had other subordinates as well. Yi Hua poured a cup of wine for himself. The subordinates all saw that his honor was pouring wine for himself, and not his honor's wife pouring wine for his honor. One must know that in the past his honor's wife would be serving his honor by the side, but now that doesn't exist anymore. From this, it could be seen that his honor's current love life isn't very perfect. Furthermore, if it was in the past, his honor would definitely teach his honor well, but looking at the current him, he can't even be bothered to do so. Right now, his honor is even prepared to give up on his treatment. Everyone say a few words. Yi Hua stood up and said gravely. The subordinates all raised their cups and stood up, appearing very dignified. For so many years, every year's gathering has never been perfect. However, today is different. Not a single one of you came back. I am also very happy and emotional today. Speaking up to here, Yi Hua slightly paused for a moment. Happy is naturally because of the reunion, and emotional is because it isn't easy to get together. We are a group, but we are more like a big family. Therefore, for the sake of our big family, cheers. Cheers. The subordinates shouted out in unison. To be able to have such an imposing manner just by drinking wine, as expected of the drunkard that Yi Hua brought up. Evidently, a cup of wine didn't exist. As a boss, it was very normal for his subordinates to toast him. In the past, Qingyu would still block a few cups of wine, but now that was no longer possible. Yi Hua didn't need to. In any case, he had already gotten used to it after all these years. Chapter 1324. Next up was the drinking competition. This was also a tradition. As long as it was a festival like this, everyone would basically fall. If they didn't fall, it meant that the atmosphere was not up to the standard. And today it was even more lively. After all, a lot of people had returned and all of their emotions were contained in the alcohol. In the past they would only drink to Yi Hua, but now that Yi Yan and God Yi had returned, they naturally had to drink to them as well. The 2 sons even had to help their father block the alcohol, and the most awesome one was Ali. She could drink a lot. Yi Lu was a bit lacking. After blocking a few cups of alcohol for her father, she felt a bit dizzy. No matter what, Lu Xianer was God Ye's girlfriend, and in the future she would be Little Honor's wife. Perhaps because they weren't familiar with each other, they didn't joke around too much, but Lu Xianer still felt a bit dizzy. Seems like God Yi has a chance today. Your Honor, do you want to have a drink with your wife? Lai Gu started talking nonsense under the influence of alcohol. The faces of Xianxia and the others were all red, but they weren't drunk yet. On the other hand, Yi Hua was a bit tipsy. After all, he drank quite a bit of alcohol just now and his head was a bit dizzy. That's right, Your Honor should have a drink with your wife. Even Wei Chong, who didn't speak often, shouted out. Tang Wei, who was at the side, was also tipsy and fell onto Wei Chang's body. Seems like Wei Chong has a chance tonight too. Not only Wei Chong, Zishan had also fallen onto Yi Hong's embrace. Gong Yu had also fallen onto Yi Ju Tian's embrace. And Dong Feng Yu had also fallen onto Yi Ju Tian's embrace. I really want to take Yi Hua's place and ask for poison from Qing Su to poison Ju Tian to death. No. I want to sterilize that damned cat Ju Tian. In any case, almost all of the ladies had fallen onto their loved ones. As for what would happen tonight, of course, it would be to express their love. Probably only Yi Hua, the boss, didn't have a beauty in his embrace anymore. That was why Lai Gu couldn't help but shout out. Mom, go. Dong Huangli was cheering for her mom. Dad is the boss, so he should at least have some face. Only sensible women will be liked by men. Mom is a bit immature. Hearing her daughter's words, Dong Huang Baiji didn't have any reaction. Just because Dong Huang Baiji and the others drank a bit of wine didn't mean that Dong Huang Baiji and the others would be obedient. On the contrary, when they heard that their daughters were supporting Yi Hua, they felt very depressed in their hearts. Qingyu was also the same. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing seemed to be planning to give face to Yi Hua. After all, there were already 2 people who were disobedient, and if the remaining 2 people were to be disobedient as well, then it would definitely not do. However, when Yi Hua saw that the women were hesitating, he couldn't help but feel vexed in his heart. Thus he said coldly, "Cross cups of wine, there won't be any cross cups of wine in this lifetime. Let's drink." When Yi Hua said this, the 4 women were immediately stupefied. In actuality, after so many years, at least 50% of the vexation that Xianxia and the others felt was due to a formality, and that was marriage. How many years had they been together? It had been around 20 years. Back then they had agreed that they were going to get married, but every time when they asked about it, Yi Hua would always be indifferent, as if he didn't want to get married. As time passed, Xianxia and the others started to get annoyed, and thus they used another kind of method to protest against Yi Hua. After hearing Yi Hua's words just now, Yi Hua said that he wouldn't get married in this lifetime? So be it. Humph. The 4 women snorted at the same time, stood up and left. They didn't say anything at all. This is completely not giving any face to Yi Hua at all. All of Yi Hua's subordinates were stupefied. In the past, no matter how angry Yi Hua's wife was, she would still accompany his honor to the end and help his honor to leave, but now... Mum. Dong Huangli and Yi Yan shouted out at the same time. "Tell them to scram. Just looking at them makes me vexed." Yi Hua shouted out coldly, then raised his head and shouted. The atmosphere immediately became heavy, and all of Yi Hua's subordinates sobered up a little. Right now Gong Yu finally understood. Big brother is already so strict with his wife, let alone other people. Sigh. It's just that big brother's temper. Yi Hua's temper had become much better during these few years. Just now it was Xianxia and the others who angered Yi Hua. To be more precise, it was because Xianxia and the others angered Yi Hua and the others continuously today that Yi Hua was unable to suppress the anger in his heart anymore. K, I didn't bicker with you all, and yet you all started to become arrogant and arrogant. The atmosphere of the banquet changed in an instant. Dad, don't drink too much. Dong Huangli pressed onto her father's cup and her gaze was filled with heartache. Yi Hua looked at his own Ollie. If your mother was half as sensible as you, I wouldn't have to worry so much. Yi Hua took a deep breath, then slowly placed down the cup and said faintly, "The people from 7 deadly sins stay behind. As for the others, go back and rest. It's getting late." All of Yi Hua's subordinates didn't dare to say anything else. They could only shout out respectfully, "Yes, Your Honor." "Ali, you two should go back and rest as well," Yi Hua said towards the children. Yi Yan and God Yi were both drunk. "All right, Dad, drink less, don't work too hard. Ali's heart aches just by looking at you." With a doting expression on his face, Yi Hua lightly caressed Ali's hair, then nodded his head. Dong Huangli carried on to her little brother God Yi. "This fellow is already drunk and fainted. This idiot, if you are drunk and fainted, are you going to let Xian'er play by herself?" Yi Lu supported onto her big brother Yi Yan, who was also drunk and fainted. Back then, before Yi Lu returned, he said that he was going to drink father's subordinates until they fainted, but in the end, he fainted before the battle even started. Soon only Yi Hua and his subordinates were left in the banquet. "Everyone sit over here," Yi Hua said lightly. Yi Hua appeared to be a bit powerless. He picked up the wine cup in his hand and wanted to drink a mouthful of wine. However, when he recalled what Ali had entrusted to him, he slowly placed the wine cup down. The 7 subordinates obediently sat down. "Your Honor, your wife might be drunk, don't take it to heart," Wei Chong said in a low voice. If someone were to say that his honor didn't like it, Wei Chong wouldn't believe it. Perhaps his honor just didn't like it after a long time. "Let's not talk about this matter anymore, I know what I am doing." "Yes." Wei Chong was terrified. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette, paused for a moment, then passed it to everyone. Other than Yi Zizi and Brett, who didn't smoke, all of the other men started smoking. Zhu Tian expressed, "This is his honor's order, I have no choice but to smoke." Meanwhile, Brett didn't pay attention to Zhu Tian. "You just want to smoke, right? As long as you don't smoke in front of me, it will be fine." Yi Hua silently spat out a lump of cyan-colored smoke, and the smoke gradually dissipated in the air. It's a bit like a fleeting cloud. At the very least, the subordinates were filling in the blanks. "You all have also seen what happened to Ren Yao today," Yi Hua said faintly. Speaking of this matter, Yi Zizi became a bit angry. "Your Honor, why didn't you allow me to kill that fellow back then?" I had to get rid of the root. Yi Hua said faintly. All of Yi Hua's subordinates nodded their heads. If we don't get rid of the root, this matter will be like a fishbone stuck in everyone's heart. Chapter 1325. After all, Yi Hua was the strongest person that Yi Hua had ever met. From today's situation, the guardian that has been silent for more than 10 years seems to be making a move. Therefore, I hope that everyone will be vigilant and get rid of this factor. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. But what I said just now is not the main point. Yi Hua flicked the cigarette ash and said lightly. All of Yi Hua's subordinates went into a daze for a moment. This is not the main point? Could it be that there is something else? I have decided after this matter is settled I will retire. Yi Hua's tone was a bit surprised. Following Yi Hua's words, all of Yi Hua's subordinates were astonished. Retire? Perhaps people need to retire, but Your Honor has a boundless lifespan. Why do you need to retire? Furthermore, what does this sentence mean? Could it be that the group is disbanded? Zhou Xian was a bit in disbelief as he muttered, Your Honor, you are... This news came too quickly, causing all of Yi Hua's subordinates to be unable to accept it. After all, we have been together for so many years, how can the group be disbanded? That's right, out of the 4 children, who do you all think is the most outstanding? Yi Hua asked curiously. All of Yi Hua's subordinates did not speak, their expressions were rather grave. Could it be that I am drunk? Am I dreaming? Or could it be that His Honor is drunk? For His Honor to actually ask such a question, it is very obvious that he is planning to retire. Your Honor, you are still young, why are you thinking about this? Qing Su asked confusedly. Although His Honor has been acting strangely these few years, I didn't expect that His Honor would be acting strangely to such an extent. Just what is going on with His Honor? Yi Hua said faintly, make a plan early, then you don't have to think about it in the future. Lai Gu felt that His Honor seemed to be making arrangements for his death. However, although Lai Gu was thinking like this, he didn't dare to say it out. After all, this wasn't something auspicious. Tell me, what do you all think? Yi Hua continued to ask. Wei Chang took a deep breath, then wrinkled his brows. Your Honor, if we are to choose people, subordinate feels that Dong Huangli and Yi Yan are both not bad. God Yi and Yi Lu are more obsessed with fighting. They are not suitable to be leaders, they are more suitable to be heroes. Hearing that, Yi Hua silently nodded his head. What Wei Chang is thinking is the same as what I am thinking. Do you all think so as well? Yi Hua asked faintly. All of Dong Huangli's subordinates nodded their heads. From the battle between Dong Huangli and Yi Yan, all of Dong Huangli's subordinates were able to discern something. Adding on to Dong Huangli's performance after the battle, all of Dong Huangli's subordinates were inclined towards Dong Huangli. However, here comes the problem. Dong Huangli is Dong Huang Baiji's daughter. If Dong Huangli were to support Dong Huang Baiji's side, what would Xianxia say? Let's wait and see during this period of time. Whether it's Ali or Yener in the future, I still hope that you can properly assist them. Yi Hua didn't even know what he was saying anymore. Why does it feel like I am making some final arrangements? This is truly weird. With a slight smile on his face, Zhu Tian said, Your Honor, you still have a lot of time to slowly look at it, there's no need to rush. And when I retire in the future, you can choose whether you want to retire or not. This matter is up to you to decide for yourselves. In actuality, Yi Hua's words caused the subordinates to feel a bit disappointed. Today was clearly a good day, but in the end they felt a bit upset. At this moment, Lai Gu said gravely, Your Honor, let's not talk about anything else. Wherever you go, I, Lai Gu, will follow you. And what Lai Gu said is extremely true. Your Honor, it wasn't easy for us to gather together, we don't want to disperse just like that. Wei Chang naturally still hoped to follow His Honor. Even if His Honor were to go and manage that bar again, it would be fine for me to go and become a security guard again. Seeing that His Honor was safe and sound, I would be able to be at ease. If I were to say that I wasn't touched, that would be a lie. To have such a group of loyal subordinates, Yi Hua suddenly felt that this was the greatest fortune that he had in his entire life. Our group naturally won't disperse, after all, we still haven't stopped conquering. Alright, it's getting late, let's all go back and have a good reunion. After all, a moment of spring night is worth 1,000 gold. Yi Hua squeezed out a trace of a smile, then slowly stood up. However, perhaps because he drank too much, his legs became unstable. Wei Chang, who was at the side, hurriedly held on to Yi Hua. Your Honor, are you all right? This wine that was concocted by Blood Demon is quite powerful. Yi Hua said faintly, then took the initiative to leave while smoking. However, the subordinates did not leave and Wei Chong sat down once again. His honor is acting strangely. Is it because of your wife? Pig Liver Denglong asked puzzledly. Zhu Tian extinguished the cigarette in his hand, then said lightly, that is only one of the reasons. All these years, although his honor didn't say anything, in actuality he was still worried about the problem of the guardians, especially that fortune teller. That's right, that fortune teller cheated his honor once, and that was why his honor became vigilant. Yi Zizi said lightly. Everyone knew about this matter. To actually bewitch his honor, this matter must not be looked down upon. That's why his honor has been forging legendary weapons all these years to make himself more powerful. Brett took in a deep breath. What his honor is thinking about is the big picture, and what his honor is thinking about is that his honor's wife doesn't understand, and that's why she is complaining. This is also normal in his honor's wife's eyes. His honor is everything. However, in his honor's eyes, there are too many things that he has to take care of, and the pressure on him is very big. Lai Gu said with a dignified tone, but don't you all feel that his honor's tone today is a bit off? Tone? That's right, it's a bit like his honor is leaving behind his will. Lai Gu muttered, and immediately he sensed 6 death stares. It's one thing for you to ridicule his honor, but to actually curse his honor to die, do you even have a bottom line? Lai Gu immediately apologized. However, after being reminded by Lai Gu, I seem to have such a feeling. While carrying this strange feeling, Lai Gu's subordinates left the banquet hall and returned to their respective homes. However, Yi Hua didn't go back to his mother's bedroom, as he didn't want to go back and quarrel with Xianxia and the others. Gradually, Yi Hua walked over to his mother's bedroom. Master. When Daji, who was standing at the entrance, saw that her master had arrived, she felt happy in her heart. Yi Hua looked towards Daji. For so many years, Daji has been cautiously and conscientiously protecting my mother. Yi Hua walked in front of Daji, then patted onto Daji's shoulder. You haven't gone to rest yet. Master's mother hasn't gone to rest yet. Daji can't go and rest yet. Daji said respectfully. Feeling the warmth coming from Yi Hua's shoulder, Daji felt very happy in her heart. As long as master comes over to take a look at me from time to time, I will be satisfied. It has been tough on you. Yi Hua let out a light sigh, then pushed open the door and entered into the bedroom. Daji, who was outside, lightly closed the door, then immediately became vigilant as she observed her surroundings. Even though she knew that no one would come to assassinate her, she still appeared to be very serious. Chapter 1326. Walking into the house, Yi Hua saw that his mother was sitting on the couch and was currently knitting a sweater. The children are already so big. They can't even fit into the sweaters they used to knit, Lu Jing said softly with a smile on her face. She appeared very gentle. Yi Hua slowly sat down beside his mother and picked up a sweater. All of these sweaters were prepared by his mother many years ago, just that he didn't have the chance to send them over. Yi Hua, the children are already so big, how can there be any overnight hatred between a husband and wife? It isn't easy for Xianxia and the others, they are already going crazy thinking about their children. You have to be considerate of them. There's also Yutong and Yuqing. They want children but they don't. As a mother, I can understand their feelings. All in all, only when your family is happy can you do other things with peace of mind. I can't help you too much, so don't think that I'm too long-winded. Yi Hua said respectfully. Mother, I don't dislike you for being long-winded, it's just that my feelings for you have already faded and I really don't know how to deal with it. Lu Jing put down the sweater, then lightly held onto her son's big hand and said attentively, Yahua, this isn't that your feelings have faded. This is that love has turned into a kind of familial love. Look at people like us, our lifespan is extremely long. You and Xianxia and the others have just started. In the next 1,000 years, in the next 10,000 years, you have to grasp it well. After hearing that, Yi Hua let out a deep breath. That's right. In terms of lifespan, this is just the beginning. He felt that his feelings for her had faded a lot now. What would happen in another 20 years? Another 200 years? 2,000 years or even 20,000 years? Could he still maintain that feeling? Right now, even Yi Hua was starting to suspect, was the whole thing because of him or were they the ones behind it? Alright Yi Hua, quickly go back and rest. You drank a lot of wine again, mother is going to sleep soon too. Yi Hua nodded his head, then stood up and said respectfully, Mother, I won't disturb your rest anymore. Go. Communicate well. Husband and wife need to communicate. Yes. Lu Jing sighed as she watched her son leave. She couldn't help much. After walking out of his mother's bedroom, Yihua looked at Daji, who was standing guard at the side, and said lightly, "Daji, go and rest." "Yes, master." "Rest early too." Yihua silently nodded his head, then walked out of the bedroom. Daji looked at her master's back and realized that her master's back was becoming more and more lonely. It was not easy for her to lose weight. "I heard that tonight's banquet ended on bad terms again. How could Madame treat the host like that?" Daji couldn't understand. Yihua still didn't return to his bedroom, and he was currently thinking about where he should go. Subordinates with families should not visit them lest they disturb them. "I don't have a family, there doesn't seem to be anything to say." Yihua suddenly saw a small figure and shouted out, "Uncle." Yi immediately stopped his footsteps, then turned around and greeted respectfully towards Yihua. With a straight face, Yihua asked faintly, "Not at home in the middle of the night, what are you strolling about outside for?" "Father just came back. Mother asked me to come out for a walk." Yihua. To think that the two of you actually allowed your child to come out for a walk. I, the Supreme Overlord, am convinced. "Where are you planning to go?" Yihua asked faintly. Prepare. I'm going to take a walk outside the palace," Yi said honestly. Yihua slightly narrowed his eyes. "Speak the truth." "I have a few friends to play with." "Friend? It's my uncle." "I happen to be bored, let's go and see your friends then." "But why? Can't I see my uncle?" Yihua asked faintly. Yes. The more Yi behaved like this, the more curious Yihua became. Going to see friends in the middle of the night? This little brat was not being honest at all. Yi silently walked in front, while Yihua smoked a cigarette and walked behind. Yi's expression slowly changed. "I want to see what this child is going to do, acting so mysteriously." At this moment, beads of sweat were already appearing on Yi's forehead. "I didn't expect that my uncle isn't sleeping in the middle of the night, and is actually strolling around the palace." Yihua could feel that Yi's breathing was unstable, and he became even more curious about what Yi was going to do. What else can a 12-year-old child do? Sneaking around, could it be that he is going to see a girl? Yihua felt that there was a slight possibility of that. His pubic hair hasn't even fully grown and he already knows how to flirt with girls. He has grown up. Along the way, the uncle and nephew duo walked out of the palace just like that. Actually, it was still quite early, but today the subordinates wanted to have a good time and got drunk, so they went to rest early. However, to the entire Wuxia Empire, this was just the beginning of the nightlife. Needless to say, these few years Wuxia Empire's nightlife was quite decent. Along with the expansion of the empire, there were more and more regions. Thus, for the sake of speed, teleportation formations were also used. From this, it could be seen just how big the expansion of Wuxia Empire was. It could be said that the entire North knew that Wuxia Empire was the true overlord of the North, and its scale had long surpassed that of any other empire. Even the other empires were shocked by the fact that different races and humans coexisted together, especially the South. They had already classified Wuxia Empire as an unstable factor, and sooner or later Wuxia Empire would be destroyed. As a huge empire, how could it not have nightlife? As the internal manager of the empire, Kai Yun was quite responsible. Kai Yun felt that whether an empire would become popular or not would depend on whether the night was bright or not. However, right now, if one were to look down at the entire North, one would be able to discover that only Wuxia Empire was the brightest star. In addition to today's celebration, the entire Wuxia Empire was as lively as if it was celebrating the new year. The streets and alleys were filled with people, and one could even see different races walking among the crowd. Right now, Yihua was a bit stupefied. When did my territory become like this? To think that no one actually told me about it. Look at these people, look at this density. What is Kai Yun trying to do? Is he trying to squeeze me to death here? Although that was what he thought, Yihua felt very comfortable. Originally, this was a lifeless city of death, but after the cooperation of my entire team, it developed to such a state. This is truly not bad. During the next award ceremony, I must definitely praise Kai Yun. The entire team of South Wuxi is not bad and they are worthy of praise. Following behind Yihua felt that the more he walked, the stranger he felt. Just now it was indeed a flourishing street, but now it had become plain and simple. However, this didn't stop the people from celebrating. There were actually even stalls set up on the street. Barbecue? This smell is familiar. Cumin? Who got it? Wait a minute. Yihua shouted out. No one recognized Yi. After all, Yi had never openly come out. Uncle, what's the matter? Accompany me for a drink. Yihua said lightly, then walked to the stall at the side. There was even a menu on the stall and it felt pretty good. Chapter 1327. Drink. Yi slightly exclaimed, I don't seem to have reached the age to drink alcohol. Yes, come here. Yi slowly walked over and sat beside Yihua. Uncle, mother doesn't allow me to drink alcohol. Why? Yihua asked faintly. Mother said that I am still underage. An underage child running out in the middle of the night? I think you are precocious. Yihua looked at the menu and said faintly. As expected, Yi didn't say anything. 2 bottles of alcohol, pork belly, chives, eggplant and a grilled fish. Yihua said faintly. Hey boss, please wait for a moment. Yihua put down the menu and stared at Yi. What's your evaluation of your father? Yi hurriedly said, I can't evaluate father. I asked you to evaluate, just do it, understand? Yihua said gravely. Yi bit his lips and said softly, I don't like father. Yihua didn't feel surprised, this was a normal situation. Why not? What part of your father you don't like? Yihua asked faintly. Yi raised his head and looked at his uncle. So father and uncle look so similar. I didn't believe it before, but now I believe it. After father came back, mother's attitude towards me changed. Yihua went into a daze. So that's the case, no wonder, suddenly not used to it, this is the typical mentality of a child. How many times did you go out of the palace today? Yihua didn't want to dwell on the problem just now, Xiao Tian can handle it. I can't count anymore. Yi muttered, then lowered his head. The consequences of running out of the palace is very serious. Interesting, why did you run out of the palace? Did you find a girlfriend? Yihua asked curiously. Oh. No? Then why do you run out every day? Yihua asked curiously. However, just when Yihua finished speaking, an angry shout sounded out from the side. Bastard, I asked you to fight and you stood me up. You actually followed a bastard to eat barbecue. A clear and melodious voice resounded through the entire street. Yihua was curious, who are they scolding? This aura is not bad. Yi's face stiffened, wasn't I just late by 5 minutes? After the crowd dispersed, Yihua saw a girl from a different race. The girl's ears were very special, she was actually from the elf race. When did elves come to the city? Moreover, this elf walked over with a wooden stick and there seemed to be many underlings behind him. Hooligans. Old bastard. What are you looking at? Yi was dumbfounded. This is my uncle. It's my uncle's wish that you can sit here safely. You actually scolded him. Old bastard. If Xianxia and the others were here, they would definitely laugh themselves to death. After all, the words that they didn't dare to curse were actually cursed out by this elf race's little girl. That was awesome. Right now Yihua was a bit absent-minded. Someone actually scolded me as an old bastard. That was not the main point. The main point was that he was actually not angry. Yihua stared at the little elf girl and thought to himself, why am I not angry? Could it be that he was really old? He shot him a look. Enough, you crazy woman. Little bastard, do you have an eye disease? What are you looking at? Did you find an old man to back you up? To actually stand me up? Do you know how my 13th sister's nickname came about? Yi didn't know what to say. This little girl's looks were not bad, but there was something wrong with her brain. Did you come out at night to arrange a fight? Yihua asked Yi. However, before Yi could say anything, the 13th sister stepped on the stool. What do you want? This street belongs to my 13th sister. This little bastard is causing trouble in my territory. I will break his legs. Yihua laughed after hearing that and asked curiously, this street belongs to you? Nonsense, could it be yours? Yihua ignored her. What happened between the two of you? Uncle, it's like this. Yi told the story of what happened. The gist of it was that when Yi was causing trouble outside, he was also someone who had underlings. Then he came here to eat supper and a conflict arose between his underlings. Then he arranged a fight to cause trouble. After fighting a few times, there wasn't a victor. So he kept on causing trouble and causing trouble. However, Yihua also knew that the underlings of the 13th sister were all from different races. Their main job was to protect the children of different races from being bullied by humans. And Yi seemed to want to lend a helping hand. He was the kind of person who would draw his sword to help. Don't do such useless things in the future. You will have plenty of opportunities in the future. Yi Hua said to Yi. Yi didn't say anything after hearing that. In fact, he also wanted to retort in his heart. This Wuxia empire seemed to be prosperous, but there were also many powers that emerged from it. Maybe it was because Yi had been keeping a low profile these few years and had forgotten about his pain. Although it wasn't enough to be feared now, it would still be a problem in the future. Yi was worrying a little too much. These kinds of problems were all small problems. There was no need to worry at all. Understood. The 13th sister was a little confused. Wasn't he very arrogant just now? Why did he suddenly become so well-behaved? Who is this man? What is your name? Yi Hua asked faintly. 13. Are you the 13th child in your family? Oh. You are such a strange person. Are you checking my background? The 13th sister couldn't help but say. She felt that she had lost a lot of face. Boss, your barbecue is here. Yi Hua looked at the familiar barbecue in front of him, and it was as if he had returned to the days when he was drinking in a bar. Sit down and eat. Yi Hua said faintly. Even if my 13th sister starves to death or gets hacked to death, she still won't eat it. 5 minutes later. Boss, your barbecued fish is getting more and more fragrant. The 13th sister shouted out. Because she drank a little bit of wine, her white cheeks were a little red, making her look very cute. Yi Hua, who knew the reason, didn't blame her. It wasn't easy for the other races. Although they seemed to have assimilated into the other races, they had yet to truly assimilate into the other races. Perhaps, they would be able to assimilate into the other races after hundreds or thousands of years. Yi Hua drank a little bit of wine and looked at the bustling streets. His mood became much better. Suddenly, he discovered that the outside of the palace indeed had a different taste. Therefore, Yi Hua decided not to return back to the palace. I will stay in a hotel today. I heard that there is a viewing room. Only after arriving at the viewing room did Yi Hua find out that the scenery he was looking at was actually the palace. Inside the bedroom, the 4 women didn't sleep. They were sitting in the main hall waiting for Yi Hua to return. They were prepared to have a good chat about who was right and who was wrong in this matter. Why isn't he back yet? Xianxia said in a low voice. I am simply about to explode from anger today. To actually tell us to scram again, how can I not be angry? Qian Yuqing's attitude was still considered to be good. After all, Qian Yuqing had lost someone before and knew that kind of pain. To her, it was fine as long as it was appropriate. In actuality, Qin Yutong was the same as well, she was just grumbling. Chapter 1328. However, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji were different. Although they were angry, they hoped that Yi Hua would do something. If Yi Hua bought a bunch of flowers and said some beautiful words to let Yi Hua know that he was wrong and correct himself in the future, then everything would be fine. However, Yi Hua didn't do anything from the start to the end, and he even appeared to be very indifferent. This was completely different from how he was in the past. Of course, Yi Hua would still coax her, act coquettishly and whatnot, but right now that didn't exist. It was as if he did not have any feelings for you. This kind of situation made Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji very vexed. If the feelings were gone, just thinking about it made them feel afraid. It can't be that he won't come back, right? Qian Yuqing said worriedly. In the past, when Yi Hua was angry, he would definitely come back to sleep with them. Although they didn't sleep together, seeing that Yi Hua came back, they felt relieved. If he doesn't come back, I will break his legs. Xianxia said, but she was still a bit worried. Yi Hua had never stayed out at night before. Following Xianxia's words, the 4 women continued to wait. However, what they waited for was still empty air. Suddenly, the 4 women wanted to hear steady footsteps coming from the door, or that indifferent face. Right when the women were fantasizing, the sound of heavy footsteps really rang out. This made Xianxia feel as if she was hallucinating. Looking towards the others, Xianxia seemed to be asking, do you guys hear this familiar sound of footsteps? Donghuang Baiji nodded her head and looked towards the door. As the footsteps got closer and closer, Xianxia had already thought of her lines and was prepared to question Yi Hua. It is already so late, where did he go to fool around? Does he still want this family? Is he still living? When the figure appeared at the door, the 4 women slightly went into a daze. Ali, it is already so late, why did you come? That's right, the person who appeared at the door was Donghuang Li. I just dealt with Yi Yan, so I went to take a look at God Ye's situation. God Ye's little brother is not bad, he is very smart, he knows the importance of giving birth to life. This also proved that if you don't get drunk you can't get things done. Therefore you must get drunk, that will be the start of the opportunity. Since the matter was already settled, Ali wanted to find her father to have a heart-to-heart talk. Of course it was because of her mother. However, when he walked over, all of them were sitting in the living room. Looking at their posture, he knew that his father hadn't come back yet. It was so late that it was even possible that he hadn't come back yet. So why bother? Which man doesn't want face? Daddy is a boss and he wants face even more. If you guys don't give me face, it would be strange if you don't leave in anger. If Daddy meets a beautiful girl outside or a sensible girl, then you guys are done for. Mom, you haven't slept yet. Are you waiting for someone? His father and... Although Dong Huangli guessed that her father wasn't in, she still wanted to ask. Dong Huang Baiji remained silent. Dong Huang Baiji squeezed out a smile and said, Ali, quickly go and sleep, we are discussing some matters here. Do you want to talk about a divorce? Dong Huangli asked lightly. Her tone was completely filled with indignation for her father. Sure enough, Dong Huangli's words caused those women to go into a daze. Dong Huang Baiji even said gravely, Ali, what are you talking about? Although I am also very happy that my daughter and son have returned, but right now my daughter is completely on Yi Hua's side. Why don't you all think about how much Mom has missed you all these years? Half of the reason why I ended up quarreling with your father is because of you all. Do you all think Mom wants to be like this? Who doesn't want to be happy with their family? The atmosphere immediately became tense. The children are too much on Yi Hua's side and right now they actually dare to go against me. This is too outrageous. Isn't what I said right? When you all were young, although you all quarreled with each other, in the end, Dad still lowered his head and coaxed you all. You all only know how to let Dad coax you all. If Dad coaxes you all too much, don't tell me that Dad will be happy. Why don't you all coax Dad? Love isn't something that belongs to just one party, it needs to be controlled by both parties. The thing that I hate the most is quarreling with each other because of some trivial matters. Dong Huangli was no longer the same as when she was young. If it was when she was young, she definitely wouldn't say such a thing, she wouldn't dare to say such a thing. But now that she has grown up, I know that there are some things that I have to say and I have to say them out loud. Furthermore, I have to let Mom know that if Dad leaves you all, he won't die. Dong Huang Baiji was angered to the point that her entire body was trembling. Pointing at her daughter, Dong Huang Baiji shouted out, "Get out. Adults are talking, what is a child like you interrupting? This is none of your business." Mom, I am no longer a child now. Dong Huangli said faintly, then turned around and left. Dong Huangli looked very cool. If Yi Yan was here, he would definitely give big sister a big thumbs up. Awesome. To actually dare to use this kind of tone to talk to Mom, this is too awesome. Looking at her daughter leaving just like that, Dong Huang Baiji, who was angered to the extreme, actually started crying out loud. She felt as if everyone no longer liked her, and that kind of feeling was extremely wronged. Xianxia supported onto the Empress who was beside her. This woman is just like this. I thought that today would be a happy day after all, the children had returned. But in the end I found out that this happiness is actually filled with pain. Look at Ali's current appearance, she doesn't even look like she was when she was young. I really wonder if she is Ali or not. Dong Huang Baiji said while choking with sobs. She was still tightly hugging onto Xianxia while crying and snot. This truly makes one's heart ache. Qing Yutong let out a light sigh. When a child grows up, they are just like this. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong started thinking whether or not she should still give birth to a child. If my child reaches Ali's age and also goes against me, that kind of feeling is simply unimaginable. I wonder how the Empress is feeling right now, sigh. When a child grows up, he would become a bit rebellious. This is also normal. Xianxia consoled Dong Huang Baiji attentively. How big of a matter is this? Besides, what Ali said is somewhat reasonable. However, even if everyone understands the reason, it would be very difficult to do it. But look at Ali's appearance just now, it seems like she was teaching me a lesson. Dong Huang Baiji was depressed and sad. I didn't even have the chance to properly chat with my daughter, and I was already taught a lesson by my daughter. Qing Yutong said faintly, if Yenner wasn't drunk, I reckon that what happened just now would also be the same. Big sister, you have to be mentally prepared. Xianxia took a glare at her little sister. Only you know that I, Yenner, wouldn't teach my mother like this. I reckon that Yi Hua won't be coming back tonight. Qian Yuqing, who was sitting at the side, muttered. She felt that she had indeed done something wrong. I shouldn't have gone along with Yi Hua's evil deed. I wonder if it is still too late for me to betray Yi Hua now. Chapter 1329. The two sisters still chose to continue waiting, even if they had to wait until dawn. I want to let Yihua see how long we have waited for you. Do you still have the cheek to throw a tantrum? However, Yihua was currently standing at the window of the room and looking at the palace. He thought to himself, those women should be asleep already. Why would they care if I return or not? Yihua let out a light sigh, then closed the wooden window and lied on the bed. The unfamiliar environment gave Yihua a different feeling. Sir, do you need the inn's service? A gentle voice suddenly rang out from the door, causing Yihua to be startled. There is such a service. Just who invented it? The night gradually dispersed, and white fog shrouded the entire Wuxia Empire, making it look like a fairyland. A scream rang out in the palace, and it was the scream of a girl. From the tone of the voice, one could tell that the girl's scream was filled with surprise, panic, and disbelief. Under normal circumstances, to scream like this early in the morning, it must be the first time one experienced something interesting in their life. After all, there was a different kind of charm in this tender voice, or at least that was what Lai Gu judged. In God Ye's bedroom, Zhou Xian looked at God Yi in disbelief. Me? What happened last night? Where am I? What am I doing? Why did God Yi sleep together with me? God Yi seemed to have been shocked by this horrifying voice as well. He realized that his head was a little painful and his mouth was a little dry. What's wrong? Why are you screaming so early in the morning? God Yi asked softly, appearing very calm. However, it was only his expression that was calm. His heart was not calm at all. He sneaked a glance at the quilt. It's over. Straighten your tongue and speak. God Yi said softly. He slowly sat up and gently stroked Zhou Xian's hair. The gentle action made Zhou Xian a little absent-minded. Lie in my arms first and speak. God Yi hugged the confused Zhou Xian in his arms, and Zhou Xian's face was red. What was I going to say just now? How did I forget about it? God Yi gently caressed Zhou Xian. Xian, it's still early, do you want to sleep for a while more? Zhou Xian said subconsciously. After saying that, she felt that something was wrong. However, the sound of smooth breathing could already be heard from the side, and he managed to get away just like that. I'm so angry. To actually not say anything at all. In any case, I should at least say a few words. I will love you for my entire life and I will treat you well in the future. My God. This is really a headache. God Yi was having a headache right now. Yesterday was just a joke. He really did not expect things to turn out this way. They had just confirmed their relationship yesterday, and today their relationship had taken another step forward. The speed was too fast. Luckily I was rather quick-witted just now. To be more precise, I was quick-witted in a moment of desperation. I pressed Zhou Xian beside me to sleep, then pretended to sleep. But what should he say when he woke up? Thinking about his father and mother's daily life, God Yi decided to learn from his father. After all, he had no experience and his father had never taught him such things. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. Of course, there was another person who was happy today, and that person was Tang Wei. After being together for so many years, Uncle Wei finally became enlightened. As expected, if a man doesn't get drunk, a woman basically doesn't have a chance. Looking at Uncle Wei's dumbfounded expression, it was simply too funny. It was as if he had been forced by himself. Uncle Wei, just give me a smile, it's not a big deal. Even when Tang Wei was speaking, she would always carry a smile on her face. For so many years I have been looking forward to the stars, looking forward to the moon, and finally such a day has arrived. Wei Chong basically did not know what happened yesterday. This is all thanks to his honor's wine. Furthermore, his honor looked like he was going to retire yesterday, so that's how it was. In the end, I didn't expect that Xiao Tang would be able to pick up such a great bargain. Is it a loss or not? It's a huge loss. Uncle Wei, sob, Wei Chong. Xiao Tang, let me calm down for a while, my brain is a bit muddled. Wei Chong rubbed his head. This is truly painful. What's there to be muddled about? Who knows, I might be able to get pregnant. Tang Wei said happily. However, Wei Chang's heart sunk. My breed is different. No. My race is different. I have seen newborns before and those newborns are not humans. If Tang Wei is to get pregnant, what she gives birth to will definitely be a monster that is too horrible to look at. This was also the reason why Wei Chong had always been unwilling. He didn't want Tang Wei to give birth to a monster. And he also didn't want Tang Wei to see his original body. To be honest, within the entire team, Wei Chang's original body could be counted as the most disgusting. However, Wei Chang was thinking, the entire team is unable to get pregnant. Even his honor is the same. Perhaps Tang Wei is also unable to get pregnant. God bless me, please don't get pregnant. It feels like my stomach is moving. Wei Chang. At this moment, Xianxia and the others had not slept yet. They were still sitting in the hall and waiting. The sky outside had already turned white. The four women's eyes were a bit bloodshot, and they looked a bit horrifying. This kind of feeling was not very good because Yi Hua really didn't return home at night. If a man doesn't return home at night, where would he go? The four women began to crazily fill in the blanks in their minds, imagining all possible things, and even that kind of scene could be imagined. Therefore, the more they thought about it, the angrier they got. Those with discerning eyes could see that resentment was currently gathering within the imperial palace. And this resentment was very resentful. He definitely has a woman outside. Xianxia tightly clenched her fists. There's no need to even think about it. With Yi Hua's character, he is definitely like this. Towards Xianxia's words, Dong Huang Baiji and the others agreed with it. Catch him. Dong Huang Baiji said coldly. The four women looked at each other. Only by catching him at the scene will that fellow admit to the truth. Solid proof that Yi Hua cheated on me. Luckily, I held back a trick in the past. Dong Huang Baiji sneered. To prevent Yi Hua from fooling around outside, Dong Huang Baiji used a special method to locate Yi Hua's location. Having such a few beautiful wives, Yi Hua didn't know if he should be happy or sad. His looks are really indescribable, but his paranoia is also indescribable, to the point where he can't wait for you to walk under their eyes all day long. When Dong Huang Baiji located Yi Hua's location, her expression immediately sunk. What's wrong, Baiji? Qian Yuqing asked worriedly. This bastard. He is actually inside a hotel. Everyone cried out in surprise. Instead of sleeping in the imperial palace, he actually went outside to sleep in a hotel. One could well imagine what he is doing. Chapter 1330. The faces of the four women were as ugly as it could be, even though they had been in the palace the whole time. However, they also heard that the hotel's reputation wasn't that great, just like those dead hotels in the past. Yi Hua didn't bother with such things, he only restricted them verbally. In actuality, he was just turning a blind eye to it. Thinking back to Yi Hua's decision back then, it seemed that today's decision was completely prepared for me. Such a long time ago, Yi Hua made such a long preparation. This is simply infuriating. This scoundrel, he actually went to a hotel. Whereas my 40 meters long broadsword, quickly give it to me. The Empress is really simple and crude right now, she even used a 40 meters long broadsword. This is a broadsword that the Empress specially prepared for Yi Hua. It's called beheading your head. As the name implies, beheading your head, this is simply too cruel. Baiji, calm down, it might not be what you think. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. In actuality, Yi Hua wouldn't do such a thing. After all, Yi Hua's taste and eyesight are very high. Even Qing Yutong thought so too. How could brother-in-law do such a thing? Look at the palace, there is still a dodgy waiting to be pampered. Xianxia and Dong Huang Baiji were so excited that they completely forgot about Yi Hua's taste. Not just any kind of woman would be able to enter his eyes. This should be a situation where they don't trust each other, this is very bad. From what I see, this man just wants to go out and look for excitement, he can no longer be excited at home. Dong Huang Baiji's words are somewhat reasonable. These days are too peaceful, there isn't any excitement at all, so this is how it is. Xianxia, let's go and kill him together. Dong Huang Baiji is simply going crazy. I waited at home for an entire night and he still didn't come back, and in the end he went to a hotel. Xianxia and Dong Huang Baiji look the same. Seems like the two women's attitude is indeed different. They are simply jealous to the extreme. Qing Yutong hurriedly persuaded, Big sister, calm down, running to a hotel to look for brother-in-law like this is too rash, after all, he needs to know your identity. Your brother-in-law already went to a hotel to spend the night, who cares about his identity? We are just letting others see that their emperor didn't sleep in the palace and went to a hotel to look for women. Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing were immediately speechless. This isn't solving the problem, this is adding oil to the fire. If he ran over to cause trouble like this, it would definitely break the rhythm. Xianxia and Dong Huang Baiji immediately took out their weapons. From the looks of it, they didn't seem to be joking at all. Encountering this kind of problem, Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing were also a bit unable to stop them. He had to find a helper. He couldn't let this go on. However, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji seemed to know what Qin Yutong was going to do. Qin Yutong, if you go and inform people today, I won't have you as my little sister anymore. Qin Yutong went into a daze for a moment. This was still the first time that Qin Yutong saw her big sister getting so angry. It's not like brother-in-law is going to do something bad. Why does he look like he wants to kill someone? Menopause was also one of the reasons why she was so angry. Perhaps this was what it was like to become a woman. In any case, Yihua was getting irritated just by looking at Yihua. Every day Yihua would be long-winded and would never stop nagging. Only when he wasn't around could he have some peace and quiet. In actuality, Yihua was outside every day and Qingya and the others didn't want to disturb Yihua. Furthermore, when Yihua came back at night, he didn't say anything and just fell asleep right away. In the beginning, I thought that Yihua was tired, but as time passed, I felt that Yihua had changed. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing took a look at each other, not knowing what they should do now. However, at this time, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji had already disappeared. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing have to quickly go and stop Yihua. This kind of thing still spread out. Using Yihua's words, his face has been ruthlessly rubbed on the ground. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji immediately arrived at Yihua's door. However, at this time Yihua's door was opened. A beautiful woman could be seen walking out of Yihua's room while carrying a wooden basin. Although the woman was dressed neatly in Qingya and Donghuang Baiji's eyes, this woman was no different from not wearing any clothes. In short, the woman who walked out of Yihua's room was definitely tidied up by Yihua. Therefore, the moment the woman walked out of the room, she saw the two women and felt that the two women looked a bit familiar. However, when the woman saw the clothes that the two women were wearing, she subconsciously kneeled down and knocked her forehead onto the floor. Her entire body was trembling. "Empress! Empress!" The woman shouted out with a panicked tone, and her entire body was trembling crazily. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji tightly clenched their fists, seemingly wanting to tear the woman in front of them into pieces. To actually do our man. This woman simply doesn't want to live anymore. What are you doing outside? Don't you feel ashamed? An ice-cold voice rang out from inside the room. Yihua naturally knew that Qingya and Donghuang Baiji had come, and furthermore they came with killing intent. The woman who came in just now was just a room attendant, and she came in to deliver hot water to the woman. After washing her face, she was seen by the two women right after she walked out of the room. Yihua naturally knew what the two women were thinking about. They were definitely thinking that I, the Supreme Overlord, was messing around again. I, the Supreme Overlord, just want to ask, why don't you use your butts to think? Am I, the Supreme Overlord, such a hungry man? Even if I wanted to cause trouble, my target would definitely be Daji. These two foolish women. As expected, after hearing Yihua's words, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji became even angrier. To actually protect this woman? That's impossible. Come in. Qingya said gravely. If a relationship were to happen, this woman would definitely die. There's nothing much to say. The room attendant was also quite unlucky to have met with these two unreasonable women who were going through menopause. The room attendant merely delivered a basin of hot water to the woman, but looking at the situation, it seemed as if she was going to lose her life. However, the woman did not dare to disobey. These two women who were dressed gorgeously, they were the empresses, the most respected women in the entire Wuxia Empire. To be able to see them at such a close distance today, it was unknown if it was because of luck or something else. However, as the most respected women in the entire Wuxia Empire, they actually listened to the words of the person inside the room. The person inside the room seems to be a middle-aged man. Just what is going on? Could it be that the two empresses put on the emperor? The woman did not dare to continue thinking about it. If such a thing were to happen, the entire Wuxia Empire would probably be shaken. The woman walked into the room. He felt as if the air was going to freeze. This feeling was not very good, and even her heartbeat had slowed down by a lot. Just what are you two trying to do? The woman heard a different voice. This doesn't seem to be the voice of that man from just now. The woman mustered up her courage and raised her head to take a look. When she saw a man who was dressed in a yellow gown and that face, she immediately lowered her head. Her body was trembling slightly. It was unknown if she was trembling because she was afraid or because she was too excited. After all, she had just seen the most powerful man in Wuxia Empire. How could she not be excited? Chapter 1331. What do you want? We also want to ask you what is going on here. Xianxia questioned angrily while pointing at the woman who was kneeling on the ground. Yi Hua was a bit angry in his heart. It's enough for the two of you to be so paranoid all day long. As being paranoid. If that's the case, why did this woman walk out from your room so early in the morning? Donghuang Baiji asked coldly. Yi Hua's expression gradually became ice cold. Why are you all being so loud for? Do you all have to make it known to everyone? The woman was very confused. What was going on with the emperor and empress? Why did it feel like their relationship wasn't that good? What, you don't dare to let others know about this scandal? Are the two of you crazy enough? Yi Hua suddenly stood up and his aura immediately emerged. A lot of people were able to sense it. This aura was emitted by the boss of Voidless Empire. The location was not inside the palace but outside. What was going on? Kai Yun soon received the news and he was a little dumbfounded. However, as the internal manager of Voidless Empire, Kai Yun immediately ordered his subordinates to clear out the surroundings of the hotel. After all, I'm afraid that His Honor and Madam won't have an easy ending today. The children who were sleeping soundly as well as the subordinates, all felt Yi Hua's anger and immediately woke up. After wearing their clothes they left the room. His Honor, you have to calm down, don't get angry. However, in the guest room the air seemed to be cold. Yi Hua did not retreat in the slightest. He thought about it carefully last night and felt that his mother was right. As a man he should be more magnanimous and not lower himself to a woman's level. Therefore he decided to coax her today. I don't want my face anymore. Who would have known that they would accuse me of cheating without saying anything else? Although it wasn't cheating on me, they were still suspecting me. Am I that kind of man in your hearts? Am I that kind of man that has no taste? That's right, we have gone mad, but we were also forced to go mad by you. Although Xianxia's tone was filled with anger, if one were to listen carefully, they would actually sound a little wronged. I drove you crazy? Are you trying to drive me crazy? Then tell me, what did this woman do? Did you sleep with her? Yi Hua, you are a bastard. Donghuang Baiji immediately started scolding at Yi Hua. Donghuang Baiji did not give any evidence at all. Yi Hua seemed to have been provoked by Donghuang Baiji's words and he said coldly, Donghuang Baiji, this entire Voidless Empire belongs to me. I can do whatever I want. There is no need for you to worry about it. Sure enough, after hearing Yi Hua's disguised acknowledgement, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji found it hard to believe. Their entire bodies felt as if they had been struck by lightning, and they stood on the spot unmoving. The woman who was kneeling on the ground was still trembling. His Majesty had just admitted that he had a relationship with me. How is this possible? I'm so excited, so happy. I'm even willing to die now. Suddenly the woman saw two more figures appear. He took a peek and didn't expect it to be the other two empresses. Heavens, what was going on? Was the emperor going to break up with the empress? God, I really want to share it with others. I can't stop myself. Right now, Yi Hua appeared to be very calm as if he had just done a big thing. Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing had just arrived, and they didn't know what was going on. However, looking at Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji, they knew that the situation wasn't that good. Of course, there was also the woman who was kneeling on the ground. Qing Yutong didn't really believe it. No matter what, brother-in-law wouldn't do it. Even Qian Yuqing felt the same way. Yi Hua wasn't a lecherous person to begin with. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji must be thinking too much, or perhaps they are looking for an excuse to quarrel with each other. Right now, the outside of the hotel was bustling with noise and excitement. A lot of yellow armored soldiers were beginning to clear out the hotel. This kind of situation had not happened for the past 12 years. I didn't expect that it would actually happen today. This is simply too shocking. The terrifying aura that the emperor emitted out just now is definitely related to this matter. Furthermore, it was a large-scale clearing out of the hotel. From this, it could be seen how serious this matter was. The hotel was cleared out very quickly and the surrounding buildings were also cleared out. Everyone was frantically guessing what exactly happened. The prince had just returned yesterday, so he should be happy. However, right now outside of the room all of His Honor's subordinates were present, and even the children were present. Even God Yi and Zhou Xian were present. Everyone could sense that the atmosphere in the room was not good, and no one dared to enter the room and anger His Honor. Among all of these people, I'm afraid that Dong Huangli is the only one. After all, Dong Huangli is the most beloved child of His Honor and His Honor's wife. Dong Huangli also knew what she had to do. Taking a deep breath, Dong Huangli walked into the room. The subordinates peeked through the gaps. There is actually a woman kneeling down inside. My God, could it be that his honor is really here? He was even caught on the spot by your wife. Was this proof enough? Your honor, aren't you being too careless? In the future, don't be like this anymore. Next time, if you're going to do something like this, bring your subordinates along as well. Inside the house. Daddy, Mommy. Dong Huangli shouted out lightly. She felt that her father wouldn't do such a thing, and there must definitely be some misunderstanding between them. Dong Huangli called out to Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji, but Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji did not respond to her. Dong Huang Baiji could be seen fiercely attacking that woman. This was definitely not a joke. Dong Huang Baiji was planning to kill that woman. The woman kneeling on the ground was oblivious to the fact that she was about to die. After all, Dong Huang Baiji was so powerful that ordinary people would not be able to sense her power. Seeing that the woman was about to lose her life, Dong Huang Baiji seemed to have frozen in time. Evidently it was Yi Hua who stopped the woman. After Yi Hua stopped the woman, Xianxia and Dong Huang Baiji's hearts completely exploded. You are actually still protecting this woman? Yi Hua, you are so ruthless. Xianxia immediately took out a machete. Yi Hua's stance had already caused the woman to faint from fright. Yi Hua said coldly, I can protect whoever I want to protect. There is no need for me to report to you. Xianxia did not say anything, and the machete directly chopped towards the woman's neck, taking away the woman's life. Yi Hua stopped the woman once again. He didn't give them any face at all. Yi Hua, do you want her or do you want us? Xianxia asked coldly. Your questions are truly childish. Ali, is daddy right? Yi Hua asked his daughter. Dong Huangli indeed felt that her mother asked a very idiotic question. However, in this sort of situation, how could she possibly remain calm? She was completely unable to remain calm. Mommy, let's talk about it after we return home. This place isn't good for us. Dong Huangli persuaded. Even Dong Huangli knew that the outside wasn't the place to deal with family matters. No, if we don't make things clear today, none of you can even think of leaving. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out coldly. All of Dong Huang Baiji's subordinates who were outside understood what Dong Huang Baiji said. Today's matter wouldn't end so happily. What are we going to do? Something happens to his honor's marriage, Sai. Chapter 1332. Yi Yan, who was standing outside, couldn't take it anymore and pushed open the door and entered as well. Right now only we can stop them. Yi Lu saw that her big brother had entered as well, so she entered as well. God, Yi naturally had to enter as well, but he didn't bring Zhou Xian along. After all, Zhou Xian had not gotten married yet. It was best not to touch this kind of thing. Even Yi Juetian didn't dare to enter as his big brother and sister-in-law had already lost their temper, and only the children could stop them. Sai, just what is going on for things to actually become like this? It truly makes me feel ashamed. Yi Hua didn't pay attention to the children who entered as he said coldly towards Dong Huang Baiji, What do you want to say? What do you want me to say? Dad, calm down, Mom didn't mean to anger you. God, Yi hurriedly persuaded. Although Mom would get a bit angry in the past, she wouldn't become like this. You all can come in, but stand at the side and don't speak. Also, don't stop me, I want to see what your mom is going to do today. Yi Hua said gravely. It was very obvious that he had already exploded. Once a husband and wife explode, it would be impossible to stop them. However, as long as one of them is willing to take a step back, it would be easy to solve the problem. However, looking at the current situation, taking a step back is impossible. It is completely impossible. Yi Hua had suppressed his temper for many years, while Xianxia and Dong Huang Baiji were bursting with anger. They had completely lost the ability of a woman to think. However, no woman would be able to remain calm after seeing such a situation. Seeing that their father's attitude was so firm, the children could only look towards their mother. Right now, if they were to take a step back, it would mean that they were going to break up. The children were all afraid. They were afraid that their father and mother would separate because of such a thing. Wei Chong and the others stood outside and listened to the conversation, and their expressions were very grave. In the past, when His Honor and your wife were in love, it wasn't that they didn't quarrel with each other, but His Honor had always tolerated them. Speaking of which, it's fine if a woman coaxes, but no matter how much a man coaxes, a man will get tired of it. Regarding this matter, the subordinates felt that your wife was indeed in the wrong. Comparatively speaking, Qing Yutong and Chen Yuqing were much better. Although they were angry, they didn't have the intention to contradict his honor. Lai Gu took a look at Wei Chong and sighed. In the past, his honor would still put on a show to redeem himself, but from the looks of it now, it is impossible for him to put on a show. If they were to break up, his honor would definitely not ask them to stay. This was something that was certain. I hope that for the sake of the children your wife will stop going against his honor. This is not good for me and not good for his honor as well. After causing such a huge commotion, the entire city was guessing what had happened. If this matter were to be leaked out, Voidless Empire would become the laughingstock of everyone. At that time it would be even more difficult to deal with. When Xianxia heard Yi Hua's words, her anger erupted like a volcano. Yi Hua, you ask us what we want. Why are you protecting this woman? I thought you had nothing to do with her. What's wrong with me protecting her? Do I need you to teach me how to do things? Whatever I do, I don't need any explanation. Yi Hua's tone became colder and colder, and his pair of eyes seemed especially distant, as if he was looking at a stranger. When Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji saw the change in Yi Hua, they became even more furious. For the sake of a woman, Yi Hua actually treated us like this. We've been with you for almost 20 years. Was this the result he got in return? Do you not want to live anymore? Donghuang Baiji asked coldly. As expected, when the children heard Donghuang Baiji's words, they knew that something bad had happened. I can't say such things to my father, this is completely forcing me into a dead end. Mom, calm down a bit. Donghuang Li hurriedly pulled onto her mother. It has already been so many years, don't you know father's temper? Father is the easiest to goad. Qian Yuqing knew everything. Big sister Baiji, calm down a bit. You two don't speak. Yi Hua shouted lightly. It was very rare for Yi Hua to transfer his anger onto his tone, and even the way he spoke was very indifferent and ordinary without much fluctuation. When the subordinates outside heard his honor's tone, they immediately knew one thing, and that was his honor's death. It's not that his honor's death, it's that his honor's wife's death. The way of thinking of women and men is completely different. The women who were standing outside were actually able to understand his honor's wife's feelings. Encountering such a thing, his honor's wife's temper is really bad. His wife's temper is because she cares about his honor too much. If his honor doesn't care about his honor, who would care about what his honor is doing outside? In actuality, his honor isn't making a fuss right now, they just want to receive his honor's care. After so many years, the care that his honor gave to his honor's wife had become less and less. As a woman, this is a very bad thing. Gong Yu deeply understood what his honor was feeling. For this matter, it can't be said that who is at fault, it can only be said that both sides are at fault. Their personalities are also a bit incompatible. They still need to get used to each other. Following Yi Hua's anger, the children no longer dared to make a sound. They are completely unable to help Yi Hua at all, and they can only hope that this matter will end soon. Right, isn't there still Grandma? If I go and find Grandma, father will definitely give me face. Donghuang Li immediately wanted to go and find Grandma. Ali. Yi Hua called out gravely. Donghuang Li's footsteps immediately stopped, then returned back to her original position. Father is currently... Donghuang Baiji. Can you repeat what you said just now? Yi Hua asked gravely. Look at me now, I'm directly calling my name. In the past, Donghuang Baiji's nickname was always Her Majesty or Baiji. Yi Hua calling Donghuang Baiji as Donghuang Baiji made Donghuang Baiji feel uncomfortable. Donghuang Baiji didn't have any intention of backing down, and she asked again, do you not want to live anymore? Yi Hua looked towards Xianxia. Are you going to ask this question as well? Yes. Xianxia said coldly. Alright. Then I will answer this question of yours today. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing already knew the answer. Sover. Are these two women only going to be happy when they are courting death? The children also knew the result. Mom, why are you so foolish? It's not like you two don't know about Dad's personality. Are you two really convinced by Dad's personality? Or could it be that you two really don't want to live anymore with Dad? The subordinates outside sighed. In the end, things still ended up like this. Perhaps this ending is a good thing for both sides. Being together with his honor is already making the other party feel uncomfortable. What else can we do if we don't separate? Furthermore, as his honor's wife's way of doing things is already a disgrace to his honor. This is something that the subordinates are not willing to see. With a cold and detached gaze, Yi Hua took a look at the situation, then said faintly, since you two can't live anymore, then don't live anymore. Let's split it. Chapter 1335. Yi Juetian, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, didn't even think before speaking, and he just said whatever he thought of. I don't know just how hurtful these kinds of words are. Gong Yu was dumbfounded and her slender body slightly trembled. Am I this kind of woman in your heart? Back then when you persecuted Yi, I thought you had changed. I didn't expect that after so many years you're still the same. How long do you want to hide it? Tell me. Pa. A clear and melodious sound resonated throughout the entire street. Gong Yu held on to her face, her mind was completely blank. The fiery pain on her face made her heart break. Even back then Yi Juetian did not beat me up. However today, mother. A manic and immature voice rang out. A ferocious aura immediately wrapped around Yi Yi's body. Looking at how wronged his mother was, Yi was furious. That unfamiliar father actually hit his mother. What right do you have to hit my mother? Even if you are my father. Her little fist flew straight towards her biological father. This punch landed solidly on Yi Juetian's cheek. However, in the end Yi Yi's strength was too small. Even if he was enraged, he was still unable to move Yi Juetian in the slightest. His entire body fell onto the ground. Gong Yu saw her son fall to the ground and quickly hugged him. Mother. Yi Juetian's chest heaved up and down. His anger hadn't dissipated at all. Scram. I don't want to see you ever again. With that he disappeared, leaving the mother and son alone. Hearing Yi Juetian's heartless words, Gong Yu's heart split apart. After waiting for so many years, to actually hear such a sentence from Yi Juetian. What did I do wrong? Mother, let's go. Let's leave this place. Yi did not dare to say this before because he knew that his mother was waiting for his father. But why would such a heartless father come? Could it be that she couldn't live without him? At this moment, Gong Yu's heart seemed to have died. All of her hopes were completely extinguished by a single sentence from Yi Juetian. Meng Li looked at Gong Yu and the child beside her with a complicated expression. Yi brought along his mother and disappeared into Wushu Empire. As for where they went, no one knew. Following the departure of the person involved, the surrounding people instantly went crazy, and the gossip spread crazily throughout the entire Voidless Empire. There were even many versions of it. What Emperor's younger brother having an affair? That's true love. There was also the Emperor's younger brother who abandoned his wife and son for the sake of a mistress. This was something that many people had seen with their own eyes. There were many other versions of the story. It was as if the royal family had lost all face and had become a laughing stock. Initially, Lin Fan had thought that the royal family of the Voidless Empire would not have anything messy to deal with. But, to think that it would be the same as the other empires, where there would be such a melodramatic plot. This was truly something that caused one to sigh endlessly. Right now Yi Juetian directly went to look for Yi Hua. Big brother definitely knows something. Big brother wouldn't lie to me, Yi wouldn't die. She was so kind, how could she die? No, definitely not. These people were all lying to him. What did it mean by misfortune never comes alone? This was probably what it meant by misfortune never comes alone. Both brothers had encountered this kind of thing. Very quickly Yi Juetian arrived at his big brother's sleeping quarters. Yi Hua's face was sunken as he sat on a chair and smoked. If it was any other time, Yi Juetian would definitely not anger his big brother at this time. However, this matter was related to Yi, so Yi Juetian had no choice but to ask about it. In Yi Juetian's heart, this matter was more important than anything else. It could also be said that the current Yi Juetian was the product of his impulsiveness, and he had lost his rationality. As long as he had a bit of rationality, he wouldn't do something like abandoning his wife and son. After all, the reason why Yi Juetian trained for so long was all for Yi. He was able to help Yi when she was in trouble. However, the news of Yi's death was something that Yi Juetian was unable to accept at all. Yi Hua looked at his little brother who ran into the room furiously. He took a faint look at Yi Hua, then retracted his gaze. Big brother. Yi Juetian shouted out gravely. What are you doing? Yi Hua asked coldly. The relationship between the two brothers immediately became strange. One dared to get angry while the other dared to slap people. However, before Yi Juetian could reply, Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing returned. Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji did not return and went to Lu Jing's sleeping quarters. They were definitely pulled over by Lu Jing to talk to them. As a mother, how could Yi Hua ignore them? The moment Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing entered the room, they immediately discovered that the atmosphere was not right. These two brothers seem to be about to fight. What is going on? Is Yi dead or not? Yi Juetian questioned. Hearing that it was regarding Yi, Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing were a bit surprised. How did little Tian know about the news of Yi's death? This shouldn't be possible. Didn't Gong Yu say it? This doesn't make sense. Gong Yu shouldn't have told this news to Yi Juetian. Then how did little Tian know about it? Yes. She's dead. Yi Hua said coldly. His heart was already extremely bad, and at this time he still came to talk about this matter. Why didn't you tell me? What's the use of telling you? If I told you, would Yi be able to come back to life? Then why didn't you go and save Yi? Yi Hua suddenly stood up and his gaze was cold like frost. This caused Yi Juetian to subconsciously take a step back. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing felt that something was wrong and hurriedly went forward to support Yi Hua. You two brothers should not fight anymore. If he had already saved Yi, Yi Hua would naturally go and save Yi, but he wasn't able to save her. Regarding this matter, Yi Hua felt a bit guilty and felt that he had let Yi down. However, the younger brother's question seemed to be saying, Big brother, aren't you very awesome? Why didn't you even save a woman? This caused Yi Hua to become angry. Yi Juetian. Who am I going to save? If I am not going to save someone, it is not up to you to point your finger at me. Yi Hua pointed at Yi Juetian and shouted. He was a bit impulsive to attack Yi Juetian. Yi Hua wasn't the kind of person who liked to explain. Just now he didn't explain to Qinye and the others, and right now he wouldn't explain too much. Hearing his big brother's words, Yi Juetian's expression darkened even more. Big brother seems to be saying that I am not going to save Yi. Just as Yi Juetian was about to get angry, Wei Chong suddenly walked in. Your Honor, subordinate has something to report to you. After finished speaking, Wei Chong took a look at Yi Juetian, who was at the side. Yi Hua said gravely, if there is anything, we can talk about it another day. Your Honor, you should listen to it first before making a decision. Yi Hua took a deep breath. Speak then. Wei Chong walked to Yi Hua's side, said in a low voice, then left. Yi Hua's expression became even more grave. This caused Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing to be extremely worried. Just what did Wei Chong say just now? Yi Hua walked towards Yi Juetian and his gaze was gloomy. Chapter 1336. This slap fiercely slapped onto Yi Juetian's face, directly knocking Yi Juetian onto the ground. Bastard! You actually chased Gong Yu and the child away. Why do I have a bastard little brother like you? Just now what Wei Chong reported was precisely this matter. It must be said the speed at which this matter spread was rather fast, and it instantly reached Wei Chang's ears. This matter concerns his honor's face and it cannot be looked down upon. Hearing what Wei Chong said, Yi Hua was incomparably shocked. Before he had thought that Yi's death would be a big blow to little Tian, but he didn't expect that little Tian would actually do such a thing, chasing away his wife and child. Is he still a human? I am not even a human. At most I would only scold at my wife. I definitely wouldn't implicate the child. The main point is the ones who are in the wrong are them. And what did that Gong Yu do wrong? Gong Yu waited for you for so long and even gave birth to your child, and yet she was actually treated like this by you. Qin Yutong and Qian Yuqing were extremely shocked as they looked at Yi Juetian. They found it hard to believe that Yi Juetian would do such a thing. Perhaps Gong Yu did some excessive things in the past, but why did she do such a thing? Wasn't it all because of you? As a woman, Qin Yutong was still able to understand the pain in Gong Yu's heart. However, who could understand the world in Yi Juetian's heart? In order to become stronger, in order to be able to help Yi, even if it was just a little bit, he went to train and he left for 12 years. Although 12 years wasn't much compared to a long life, it was still a lot of days and nights where he experienced life and death. Yi Juetian longed so much to see Yi again and tell her that he had matured, that he had become steady, that he was able to let her settle down. There are too many things that I wanted to say to Yi, but to tell him right now that Yi had already died long ago. How could he possibly accept this? He felt as if he had completely gone crazy, as if the entire world was against him. Who would be able to understand this kind of feeling? The bridge in his heart collapsed with a loud bang. This could only mean that Yi's position in Yi Juetian's heart was too important. No matter if it was out of love or guilt towards Yi, Yi Juetian wanted to make it up to her. Yi Juetian, who was knocked onto the ground, touched the corner of his mouth. Looking at the bloodstain on his thumb, Yi Juetian said gravely, Brother, You have always been thinking about yourself. I finally understand why sister-in-law quarreled with you. It is because you are selfish. Everyone has to revolve around you and everyone has to listen to you. It used to be like this and it's still like this now. You never consider other people's feelings. Yi Juetian seemed to have gone mad and directly said it out loud. This was really insulting the heavens and the earth. Qian Yuqing hurriedly persuaded, Xiaotian, speak less. Qian Yuqing was really afraid that Yi Hua would slap Xiaotian to death. Upon hearing that, Yi Hua suddenly laughed. You are saying that I am selfish? What about yourself? You even chased away your wife and child. Compared to you, who is more selfish? Did you think that you would chase Gong Yu away just because she hid the news of Yi's death? Actually, it was I who told her to stop talking. Yi is already dead. This is an unchangeable law. I didn't let you know because I didn't want to see you like this. Have you ever thought about how Gong Yu has been living all these years? When you chased Gong Yu away, have you ever thought about her feelings? What qualifications do you have to lecture me? Yi Hua shouted out in anger, and a burst of qi exploded out from his body, directly sending Yi Juetian flying onto the pillar. Brother-in-law, calm down, don't be impulsive. Qing Yutong's head was about to explode. Yesterday was actually a good day. Why did everyone return? Why did the situation become even worse? Yi Hua did not pay attention to Qing Yutong and walked in front of his little brother, then grabbed onto Yi Juetian's collar. I'm telling you, you better find Gong Yu and the child. If not, you can just die outside for me. After finished speaking, Yi Hua directly flung Yi Juetian, and like a cannonball, Yi Juetian crashed into the wall outside, causing rumbling sounds to ring out. Yi Juetian fell onto the ground with a wooden look on his face. His eyes were lifeless as he looked blankly at the sky. His brain was no longer able to think normally. So I misunderstood Gong Yu. Gong Yu only listened to Big Brother's words. She, F***ck. Yi Hua couldn't help but curse out, then smashed the wooden chair beside him into pieces. Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing didn't know how to console Yi Hua, and in the end, they decided to let Yi Hua calm down first. Right now, no matter what they said, Yi Hua wouldn't listen to them. At this moment, the news also reached Lu Jing's ears. After hearing it, Lu Jing's entire body didn't feel good, and she seemed as if she was going to faint. Why did the relationship matters between my two sons become like this? Upon seeing that, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji immediately held on to Lu Jing. Mother, what happened? What happened? This bastard little Tian. To actually do such a thing. This is simply the misfortune of our family. Lu Jing held on to her forehead and her face was filled with grief. Gong Yu is such a good child and yet she was actually chased away by your father. Did your conscience get eaten by a dog? You simply don't know how much hardship Gong Yu had to go through all these years. As a man, you actually hit your own woman. This is too disappointing. Thoroughly disappointing. Everyone felt very sad about Yi's death, but we shouldn't blame this matter on Gong Yu, and we shouldn't use Gong Yu to vent our anger on. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji went into a daze. Little Tian actually did such a thing. As expected of brothers, these two brothers are not good people. One is fooling around outside, and the other dares to chase away his wife and child. Like big brother, like little brother. I'm tired, I want to rest for a bit. Lu Jing said in a low voice. I don't really want to care about this anymore, this is too torturous. My two sons are going to torment me to death sooner or later. Mother, you should rest well then, we will be leaving first. Lu Jing nodded her head. At the doorway, Donghuang Li and Yi Yan were both waiting for their mother to come out. The children were both mentally and physically exhausted. They didn't expect that such a thing would happen right after they came back. As expected of the saying, every family has its own difficulties. This was a law that would never change. No matter how powerful a family was, such a melodramatic plot would still appear. I wonder if Grandma's persuasion will work. Yi Lu said in a low voice. God Yi stood at the side and didn't say anything. Lu Xiener, who was at the side, felt that the relationship between God Ye's family was rather complicated. Perhaps it will work. Yan said faintly. There was a crack in the relationship between father and mother. With father's temper, he would definitely not apologize, and mother's temper was rather tyrannical as well. If this goes on, it will be over for them sooner or later. When you adults quarrel, isn't it the children who suffer? Sai, it's not that simple. Donghuang Li said lightly. At this moment, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji pushed open the door and walked out. Chapter 1337. Mom. The children called out. Seeing that the children were all standing at the door waiting, Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji felt a bit better. At least they didn't run over to that bastard's side and knew to stand on their mother's side. This was also Qin Yutong's idea. She and Qian Yuqing went to calm Yihua down, while the children came over to calm their mother down. This should be the best temporary solution. Xianxia and Donghuang Baiji looked at the children and felt wronged. Seeing that their mother was about to cry, the children were speechless. Donghuang Li and Yi Lu hurriedly went over to comfort their mother, and after they comforted their mother, the mother became even worse. Donghuang Li began to cry even more fiercely, and even kept on scolding Yihua about how bad he was towards their mother, and how bad he was towards their mother. The children listened and did not say anything. Women, after all, would inevitably complain a bit. Right now, God Yi was experiencing it in his heart. God Yi, don't learn from your father, treat Xianxia better, understand? Donghuang Baiji said to her son seriously. However, like father like son. God Yi's personality was rather similar to Yihua's. He was also the most similar out of the 4 children. Mom, you are sad. Perhaps not long later you will become a grandmother. Donghuang Li could only use some happy things to wash away the sadness in her mother's heart. As expected, when Donghuang Baiji heard that she was going to have a grandson, she immediately stopped crying. Really? Donghuang Baiji looked at God Yi and Lu Xian. That focused gaze of hers was as if she was going to have a grandson. Lu Xian was embarrassed by Donghuang Baiji's gaze. She kept staring at my stomach. I just did it last night, how can I have a child so quickly? Mother's reaction made God Yi a bit embarrassed. I don't even know what happened last night. I don't even know if this child is pregnant or not. Seeing the reaction of the 2 children, Donghuang Baiji knew that the gloominess in her heart immediately disappeared. Great, this is great, Mom is waiting to carry a grandson. This is great, where am I going to find a grandson for Mom to carry? God Yi felt helpless. Is big sister trying to help or is she trying to cause trouble? As the big sister, Donghuang Li could only help to this extent. Little brother, work hard and give birth to a child. Perhaps when the child is born, the relationship between mom and dad will become better. After all, when a child is born, it means that there is hope. Right now, Donghuang Baiji was happy. However, Xianxia felt even worse. Look at God Yi. He has found a girlfriend and is about to have a child. Looking at his own son, he was still single. Just thinking about it made his heart ache. Yi Yan could feel what his mother was thinking. He subconsciously looked away, indicating that he didn't know anything. That's right. Why not let Luer find a boyfriend and give birth to a child to make her mother happy? Just as Yi Yan was about to voice out his suggestion, Yi Lu spoke first. Mom, actually, brother has a girlfriend too. He's just too embarrassed to bring her home. Yi Yan was stupefied. My goodness, you are even faster than me. Yi Lu still didn't know what her big brother was going to do, and she knew that her big brother was definitely planning to make things difficult for her little sister. Since that's the case, don't blame her little sister. Also, hey big brother, it's about time for you to find a girlfriend. Look at brother God Yi. The child is about to come out. Don't fall behind. Xianxia was delighted. Yan, is what little sister said true? Looking at his mother's joyful expression, Yi Yan really wanted to deny it, but the result of denying it was that his mother was disappointed again. Look at how happy Baiji's mother is. Yi Lu. Just you wait. Mom, about that, you know what I mean. Yi Yan could only do this. Right now, as long as I can make my mother happy, I will do anything. Xianxia said petulantly. Yan, seriously, look at Shen. Even you know to bring your girlfriend home for Mom to see, yet you are the one who is hiding her. That's too rude. Tomorrow bring someone else home for Mom to see. Tomorrow. Yi Yan cried out in surprise. Where am I going to find a girlfriend? Is there a problem? Of course there is. That person's house is very far away. Furthermore, their family education is very strict. They are not allowed to come out. If that's the case, then Mom will accompany you. Yi Yan, my dear sister, you have caused trouble for your brother this time. If Mom knew that I lied to her, she would definitely be even angrier. You are just adding oil to the fire. No need, no need. This is so rude. How about I go and persuade them? All right, if the other party's parents don't allow it, Mom will go over. After all, there is a need to meet the in-laws. Yi Yan immediately became speechless. All right, I will try my best. Donghuang Baiji smiled towards Xianxia and said, Congratulations. Same to you too, Xianxia said with a smile. As expected, when a boy has a girlfriend, this mother will be especially happy. She even forgot about the matter of quarreling with her father. Looking at his mother who left happily, Yen'er was like a deflated ball. Then Yen'er stared at Yi Lu. Brother, hurry up and go and find her. After finished speaking, Yi Lu ran away. If I am caught by my brother, I will be done for. Yi Lu, count yourself lucky that you ran away fast. Yi Yan said gravely. God, Yi said softly, big sister brother, I won't be accompanying you two anymore. I have to hurry up and go back to make a baby. Zhou Xian immediately became speechless. This is a very romantic matter and you actually turned it into a kind of mission. Can't you have a proper conversation? Now only Dong Huangli and Yi Yan were left at the scene. Big sister, think of a way, save me. Yan, if I were you, I would hurry up and go and find a girlfriend. Big sister, the time is so short, where am I going to find a girlfriend? Do you have any close female friends? It would be good for you to cooperate with mom and make mom happy. Dong Huangli shook her head. The only close female friend that you have is my little brother. Also, if you are going to find a girlfriend, don't look for her in the empire. Dad will be able to find out her identity in a short while. Try to stay as far away as possible. What you said makes sense. Lu, can't you change to another method? How can you go and find a girlfriend so carelessly? Good luck to you, I will go and see how Dad is doing. When adults quarrel, us children are truly worried to death. Dong Huangli let out a long sigh, then slowly walked away. Yi Yan, who had a gloomy look on his face, was left behind. Right now, Yi Yan was thinking of various plans in his mind. Spend some money to find an actress and come back to act in a show. As for the future, just say that their personalities are incompatible and they broke up. As expected, this is the method that scumbags usually use to break up. Should I look for Uncle Wei? Uncle Wei doesn't even go out to fool around. Where would I find any resources? That's right. Let's look for Aunt. Isn't Aunt the Empress of God's realm? She has a lot of resources in her hands. Let Aunt find an actress for me. Chapter 1338. As long as he dealt with his mother, it would be fine. He would just deal with it like this for now. What a headache. However, he hadn't seen his aunt yet and had only heard his mother talk about her yesterday. He didn't know if his aunt was easy to talk to and if she could find a movie Empress-level expert for him. His parents had discerning eyes, and if it was fake, they would be able to see through it right away. However, to make his mother happy, this was the only thing he could do. Maybe if his mother was happy, she would have something to talk to his father about. For the sake of family harmony, it seemed like he had to find his aunt. After making his decision, Yi Yan headed straight to God's world. To God's world, this place was still a little foreign. However, there was a sense of novelty. Although Wuxia Empire had changed a lot, the palace had always been the same, so there was still a sense of familiarity. Walking on the streets of Spirit Capital, Yi Yan looked around curiously. Was this where gods lived? He thought it would be some sort of celestial realm. In the end, he didn't expect it to be even behind, compared to Wuxia Empire. He was a little disappointed. In the past, he often heard about how amazing the gods were in deity institution. They were just bragging to the heavens. In the end, he realized that the gods' world that was bragged about was just like that. It was best if he went to find his aunt. This matter was a little more urgent. Directly charge into the palace? That seemed a little rash. It was his first time meeting his aunt, so it wasn't good to be so rash. Stop. Who are you? The guards at the door directly blocked Yi Yan's path. They crossed their spears in front of Yi Yan to block him. I am looking for my aunt. Yi Yan smiled. Looking for aunt? The guard was a little stunned. This was just toying with the two of them. Yi Yan quickly explained, the Empress is my aunt, so you all know. The guard's expression became a little ugly. There had to be a limit to playing with people. You actually said that the Empress was your aunt. Why don't you say that Prince Yi is your father? What is going on? Only to see that a carriage had appeared. A sweet voice spread out from within. It was really comfortable, like one was bathing in sunlight. Lord Envoy, this person says that the Empress is his aunt. The guard cupped his hands and said respectfully, Aunt? As far as I know, the Empress is ranked second in the Yi family, and the eldest is Prince Yi. Who is Prince Yi to you? Yi Yan was helpless. Originally he wanted to act cool, but in the end he was seen through. Boring. Lord Yi is my father. Yi Yan's heroic spirit was soaring to the heavens. Using his own father's name really feels good, There is nothing better than this. My father's name is Yi Hua, think about it. Sure enough, when Yi Yan said this, everyone was shocked. Even the woman in the carriage was shocked. He was just guessing. He didn't expect that the young man outside was actually Lord Ye's son. Do you know the consequences of pretending to be Prince Ye's son? At this time, the guards did not dare to offend him easily. There were many people who pretended to be relatives of the Empress, but there was basically no one who pretended to be relatives of Prince Yi. This was the first time. I know. I really have something urgent to see Aunt. Yi Yan said anxiously. What if his mother had a sudden impulse and wanted to meet his girlfriend's family? At that time she would definitely tell him. You and your father are the same, lying to your mother. Why is mother's life so bitter? Being bullied by you and your father like this, mother doesn't want to live anymore. When he thought of how his mother was going to cry and hang herself, Yi Yan's head became big. This was simply too terrifying. Just thinking about it made his entire body numb. He must bring a girlfriend back to deal with this. Get in the carriage, I will bring you in. The voice in the carriage was still so gentle, making Yi Yan feel very comfortable. He directly jumped into the carriage. The guard seemed to want to stop them, but the guard at the side stopped him with a look. If the great messenger guaranteed it, then it would be fine. Even if something happened, it would not be his fault. Yi Yan was actually also very curious about the pretentious woman in the carriage. Therefore, even if he sat in the carriage and spoke, he would be suspected of being pretentious. Then let me, Gongzi Yi, see what kind of divine being you are. However, when he saw the woman in the carriage, Yi Yan felt that as expected of a pretentious woman. She even masked her face. 666. Wearing a veil and a white skirt, dressed like a saint, Gongzi Yi did not have any feelings for such a saint. Speaking of which, if she wore all black and held a box in her hand, she would definitely be even scarier. You seem to be a little disappointed. You can even see through this, admirable. Yi Yan cupped his hands. It was not that he had never seen a beautiful woman before. Since he was young, he had seen a beauty like his mother, so his immunity was very strong now. The woman was a little unconvinced. Are you looking down on me? Indeed, you are the son of Lord Yi, you can look down on everyone. Yi Yan looked back at the woman doubtfully. Why do your words sound so sour? Even if you want to fill up your brain, you can't fill it up like this. Don't randomly put labels on me, I am a low-key and luxurious man. After saying that, he took out his folding fan and opened it with a swoosh. Speaking of pretentious, I, Yi Yan, am no longer a bronze contestant. I am at least a silver contestant. Sigh, my peerless appearance. Seems like you are indeed the son of Lord Yi. Yi Yan was speechless. Beauty, don't always say that I am the son of Lord Yi, it makes me very surprised. This is the truth. If you were not the son of Lord Yi, you would not even be able to enter the door today. If you were not the son of Lord Yi, perhaps you would still be unknown where you are now. After hearing this, Yi Yan was instantly unhappy. It was as if she was saying that he relied on his father. I, Yi Yan, rely on the heavens, rely on the earth, and rely on myself. Right, you're right. Who asked me to have a good father, allowing me to do whatever I want. Yi Yan grinned and looked at the woman with a naughty smile, as if he was about to do something dirty. The woman did not expect that Yi Yan would say that. She seemed to be a little disappointed in her heart, thus she remained silent. Seeing that the woman did not speak, Yi Yan did not speak as well. I am too lazy to speak. You only know how to act pretentious, not even speaking as if you are very awesome. I, young Master Yi, have never acted pretentious like this. Not long later the carriage stopped. Yi Yan directly jumped off the carriage. Staying together with this kind of woman is simply going to make my balls hurt. Looking at the stairs in front of him, Yi Yan directly walked up, too lazy to look at the woman behind him. Arriving at the front of the main palace, Yi Yan put away his silk pants attitude and became serious as he walked into the palace. Yi Yuanqing just received the news that his nephew actually came to look for him. Thus he hurriedly contacted his big brother. Big brother said that his son had indeed returned. So it turns out that he went to look for his aunt. Yi Hua was a little puzzled. Why did Yi Yan go to look for Yuanqing? Looking at the woman on the throne, Yi Yan sized her up. Indeed, she looks a bit similar to father. Yi Yuanqing was also looking at Yi Yan. What a handsome child. Chapter 1339. Aunt. Yi Yan suddenly called out. Eldest nephew. Yi Yuanqing shouted too. The atmosphere was a little weird. Anyway, Yi Yan was dumbfounded. His aunt was a little arrogant. Yi Yuanqing smiled and gestured for the people around to leave. Don't interrupt the conversation between aunt and niece. Big brother's son is really interesting. He's not as cold as big brother. How nice is that? However, just as Yi Yan was about to discuss business with his aunt, the crisp sound of footsteps suddenly rang out. Yi Yan stopped instantly. Was this woman trying to go against him? She really knew how to find the right spot. Greetings, Empress. So it's an envoy. What's the matter? Empress, I'm here to bid farewell to you. Yi Yuanqing was stunned for a moment. Envoy, are you ready to go back so soon? Could it be that I did not treat you well enough? Your Majesty, you must be joking. I like this place very much. I really hope that I can stay here for a long time. Yi Yan choked and muttered, saying one thing and thinking another. Although the voice was very soft, it was still heard. Yi Yuanqing asked curiously, Nephew, you know the messenger? I wouldn't dare, Yi Yan said in a low voice. Yi Yuanqing thought to himself. It seemed like there was a conflict. Looks like I've offended Lord Ye's son. I wonder if I'll be killed on the way back, the woman said softly. Judging from her tone, it seemed that she intended to go against Yi Yan. I say, woman, is there something wrong with you? I know you're trying to get my attention. You're just trying to play the trick. And look, this messenger is seducing your nephew, seducing Prince Ye's son. Yi Yan's words were neither servile nor overbearing, as if he was a hero, standing on the moral high ground and condemning this filthy woman. Fighting with me, Yi Yan, you're still too inexperienced. Yi Yuanqing wanted to smooth things over. He smiled and said, all right. Don't make it seem like a quarrelsome quarrel. Who's his enemy? The two of them said in unison. Yi Yuanqing chuckled. By the way, why did you come to me today? I just talked to your father. Yi Yan glanced at the woman next to him. There are outsiders here, how can I say it out loud? I didn't expect Prince Ye's son to have something he can't say. Who said I can't say it? I, Yi Yan, am the benchmark on the road. Then tell me. If you want me to say it, I'll say it. Who do you think you are? Isn't it because you don't dare to say it? Who wouldn't dare? Tell me then. I won't say it. I'm going to piss you off. Yi Yuanqing watched as the two of them started to argue, and he found that Man Deng was right. He wondered what his big brother was thinking. Qiyu wasn't very old. She was only a few hundred years older than Yi Yan. Her family background wasn't bad either. She was well-educated, gentle, and virtuous. He was also very smart. She would definitely be able to help Yi Yan in the future. There was no need to mention her looks. Qiyu was a standard beauty. He would be a good wife. All right. The two of you stop for a moment. Those who don't know would think that you are a couple bickering with me, said Yi Yuanqing with a smile. Yi Yan looked at his aunt in disbelief. Aunt, stop joking. Is she a woman? Qiyu was also a gentle woman, but when she heard what Yi Yan said, she almost exploded in anger. You say that I'm not a woman, then I say that you're not a man. I'm not a man. Do you want to come and have a taste of my fierceness? See how awesome I am. Vulgar. Shameless. Prince Ye's son is too much. Qiyu was so angry that her face turned red. Prince Ye's illustrious reputation has been ruined by your hands. However, when Yi Yan heard Qiyu say that he was Prince Ye's son, he felt a headache. Isn't it good to call him by his name? Why did she add son? Isn't she sick? Forget it, Mr. Yi, I won't lower myself to a woman's level. Yi Yuanqing, who was sitting on the throne, had a smile on the corner of his mouth as he looked at the two of them quarreling. Seems like I, this aunt, have to be the matchmaker. Big brother can also be a bit more at ease. Qiyu, this child, is still very outstanding. There is no problem for her to enter our Yi family. However, she was angered quite badly by her nephew. This is not a good start. All right. Quiet down for a moment. Yi Yuanqing said with a slight smile. The two stopped quarreling, looking like they were unwilling to pay attention to each other. Nephew, if you have something to say, just say it. Qiyu is not an outsider. Aunt, the matter that I want to say is very important, so it cannot be heard by outsiders. Yi Yan naturally wouldn't say it in front of other people. He was very particular about this. Empress, then I will take my leave first. Qiyu said respectfully, then slightly bowed her body and left. Bye-bye. Yi Yan waved his hand, causing Qiyu's tone to be quite heavy. After Qiyu left, Yi Yuanqing shook her head and said, Nephew, this Qiyu is quite a good person. You are a man, so you have to give in to others. And you didn't see her, she was too arrogant. The moment she opened her mouth, she said that I am Prince Ye's son, making me seem like a profligate son. Yi Yan was actually in a bad mood. This is just a matter of custom for others. Yi Yuanqing explained. There is such a custom. Yi Yan pouted his mouth. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. Qiyu has already left because of me. Yi Yuanqing stood up and walked in front of Yi Yan. I have long heard Big Brother talk about you. Seeing you today, you are truly not bad. Of course. Hearing the praise, Yi Yan immediately felt a bit smug. All right, little fellow, what did you come to look for Aunt for? Right now it is just the two of us. Yi Yan let out a deep sigh. Aunt, do you know that the relationship between my parents is very stiff? Yi Yuanqing of course knew about it. Every year he would go and take a look at their relationship, and at the end he found out that there was a problem between big brother and sister-in-law. What happened? They exploded, they got into a scolding fight. It was just this morning, they were scolding to their heart's content, they almost broke up. So serious? Yi Yuanqing cried out in surprise. I didn't expect that the matter would be so serious. Yi Yan shook his head. My little brother, he found a girlfriend. Last night they did that and it was as if the child is going to be born soon. Baiji's mother was very happy. I am the only son of my mother and I don't have a girlfriend right now, so you are looking for Aunt to give birth to the child? Yi Yan, what the hell? What is wrong with Aunt's brain circuit? Aunt is just joking with you. Do you want Aunt to introduce a girlfriend to you? Yi Yuanqing was a bit mischievous. Seeing Yi Yan's stupefied expression, Yi Yuanqing felt that it was really funny. Not introducing a girlfriend, it is just arranging an actress to pretend to be my girlfriend and make my mother happy for a bit. Once they are happy, they will definitely have something to say to my father. This idea is not bad. All the children have their own families and for the parents it is good. Chapter 1340. Then Aunt, do me a favor for the sake of our family's harmony. She has already been angered away by you. How can Aunt help? After hearing that, the corner of Yi Yan's mouth slightly twitched. He pointed to the back and said, Aunt, it can't be, you mean the one just now? Forget it, let's change to another one. Nephew, then do you know what the consequences of changing to another one will be? Yi Yuanqing smiled faintly, looking like an auntie holding a lollipop. What consequences? Yi Yan asked curiously. Yi Yuanqing walked with his hands behind his back and said slowly, Nephew, you asked Aunt to find an actress to cooperate with you. But do you know your identity? My identity? Yes, although I am an actress, Aunt will tell you that there are too many women who want to marry into Yi family. With the conditions that you said, no woman will reject it, even if it is acting. But nephew, if your family approves of it, do you think you can get rid of it so easily? Yi family is very tempting. After hearing that, Yi Yan felt that what Aunt said was reasonable. Finding a woman is enough, but if I have to clean up the mess later on, wouldn't that be even more troublesome? After all, I am so outstanding, there are definitely a lot of women who want to stick to me. If they want to die, then I am finished. But this girl, Qiyu, Aunt dares to guarantee that she has no intention of marrying into our Yi family. You saw it just now, she can still go against you, but it is a pity that you angered her away, sigh. Yi Yuanqing sighed lightly and took a glance at Yi Yan. In the end, he is still a youngster. Can't I change to another one? And don't make things difficult for me, there are definitely girls like that. Yi Yan said seriously. Asking me to beg her again, where is my face? If I lose my face, isn't that the same as losing my dad's face? Even if I have to jump off a cliff, I will not beg her. Yi Yuanqing shook her head. Nephew, do you think that any random girl will be able to pass? No matter if it is her appearance or her character, Qiyu is top-notch. If sister-in-law sees her, she will definitely be very happy. Yi Yan did not say anything. Indeed, I still have to consider my parents' taste. In any case, I am also an older brother, how can I be worse than God Yi? Although she is just an actress, she must still be a professional actress. Is she really good-looking? Yi Yan said softly. Yi Yuanqing covered her mouth and chuckled. Yi Yan said helplessly, Aunt, everyone loves beauty. It's normal. Didn't you say you were acting? Why do you care about your looks? Of course. After all, everyone in our family is so good-looking. Auntie is also beautiful. Yi Yan immediately flattered, making Yi Yuanqing very happy. After all, she was an empress and no one dared to praise her so directly. At least you know how to talk. But to be honest, I've never seen Qiyu's looks before. She's from another plane's royal family and she's even a princess. Her beauty is second to none. Don't worry, I won't harm you. Holy sh*t, and she's the princess of another plane. This title isn't bad. Does this count as a friendship between the two countries? Looks like Yi Yan will have to contribute as soon as I return. So that's how it is, Aunt Ah. But I have already angered her to that extent. Would she still help me? Yi Yan was a little uncertain. If he knew that he was looking for someone else, then he should keep a low profile. Don't make her angry. It was really the will of the heavens. Yi Yuanqing patted onto Yi Yan's shoulder. Nephew Chiyu is very interested in our family, do you understand? Yi Yan instantly understood. This Chiyu is indeed an envoy, but she also wants to find out about Yi family's situation. That's why Chiyu's current request was exactly what she wanted. Hee Aunt, you are too good. Hurry up and go, if not she will really leave. Alright, then Aunt will leave first. After I pacify my mother, I will come and thank Aunt. We are a family, why are you being so polite? Don't bully Chiyu, do you understand? Don't worry, Aunt. Yi Yan waved his hand and immediately ran out. Yi Yuanqing laughed lightly and immediately contacted his big brother. Why did Yana look for you? Yi Hua asked faintly. Big brother Yan asked me to find a girlfriend for him to coax sister-in-law. And then, didn't I just happen to have a girl who is both talented and virtuous, so I introduced her to Yi Yan. Big brother, I feel that they are quite compatible, do you want to try matchmaking them? Is she reliable? Big brother, don't worry, she is just rather curious about our Yi family. The girl is very nice and gentle, she is a princess from another plane. And I will take a look at her when the time comes. I have troubled you regarding Yen'er's matter. Big brother, what are you saying? Yen'er is also my nephew, I still have to worry about things that I should be worried about. However, big brother, you and sister-in-law, don't mention them, just hearing about them makes me angry. Yi Hua said gravely. Alright big brother, don't get angry and harm your body, we are all family. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. I have something to do here, when I am free I will come over and accompany mother to have a meal. I understand. Cutting off the voice transmission, Yi Yuanqing rubbed his forehead. Big brother's family matter sure is a bit troublesome. Right now, Yi Yan still didn't know that the matter of finding an actress had already been discovered by Yi Hua and was currently chasing after the carriage. Luckily, they didn't go too far and didn't leave the palace. Wait. Yi Yan immediately blocked in front of the carriage, startling the horse and causing it to let out a neigh. A cold voice came out from within the carriage. Son of Prince Yi, are you thinking of killing me in the palace? Yi Yan really wanted this Chuyu to change her way of addressing him, but right now I have a favor to ask of her, no matter how angry I am I have to endure it. Thus Yi Yan's tensed face smiled and entered into the carriage. Vulgar, you are a girl and the moment you open your mouth, it is so unharmonious, isn't it? Don't be so mischievous here. Chu said lightly. Yi Yan, damn it, if it wasn't because I have a favor to ask of you, do I need to be so mischievous here? About that, actually, I feel that, the weather today is really good. Yi Yan wanted to say but no matter what he couldn't say it. This is too embarrassing, I should have let my aunt speak on my behalf. You have something you need my help with? Chuyu asked lightly. Just now, after scolding at Yi Yan, he came over to block the carriage and even has a mischievous smile on his face. He definitely has a favor to ask of me. F***K. Am I that obvious? Yi Yan laughed out loud, using his laughter to cover up his awkwardness. There is indeed such a small matter. Son of Prince Yi, don't tell me that you shouldn't apologize to me for what happened in the past? What? What is what? You are scolding me again. Chu said angrily. Does this son of Prince Yi like to bully people that much?